The boomerang he threw finally hit himself. McGonagall never imagined that the person who almost caused the first student dropout since the founding of Hogwarts was actually two young students from their college. What happened? No longer in a hurry for the sorting ceremony, McGonagall squeezed through a passage and came to Wayne's side and asked sternly. She had to figure out the whole story before she could decide to give the twins should I be confined for a week or for a month. Wayne repeated it again, without adding any extravagance. He is such an honest person. When he finished speaking, it was Professor McGonagall's turn to be in trouble. If you want to go too far, Gemini and Cedric just followed the tradition, and at most they told it in more detail. There's nothing wrong with it either. But if she does nothing, just let Gemini go. McGonagall felt extremely uncomfortable. This almost scared away several freshmen, so I must not let it go. Okay, I can guarantee that there is absolutely no danger in the sorting ceremony. You don't have to worry. Now form two lines, stay quiet and follow me. Let's put the matter of the twins aside for now and wait until the sorting is completed before dealing with it. Despite McGonagall's assurance, most of the new students were still extremely nervous and followed her numbly. Hermione hadn't recovered yet, so in order to ensure that she didn't fall, Wayne could only hold the little witch's smooth little hand and walk forward like a doll. A group of people walked out of the room, walked through the foyer, passed through the door on the other side, and finally entered the main hall of Hogwarts. The auditorium is extremely majestic, with thousands of candles floating in the air. It is not environmentally friendly at all, but it illuminates the place as bright as day. 4 long tables are placed side by side, and on a slightly higher step is a guest seat, where there is only one vacant seat. The ceiling here is enchanted to look like a real starry sky. The beautiful and magnificent scenery made Hermione recover a lot, and she subconsciously did some popular science. After saying that, she realized that her hand was still being held by Wayne, and her face turned red. Seeing that Wayne had no intention of letting go, she was even more anxious, but she was too shy to speak out, so she could only let the young man control him. Professor McGonagall placed a high stool on the middle step of the auditorium with a hat on it. The original color of the hat can no longer be seen, but it is definitely not the taupe it is now. After doing all this, McGonagall glared hard at the twins from his own college. After making the two of them confused, he walked down the steps again and came to the new students. Then the hat suddenly jumped, cracked a crack, and sang like people's mouths. Old students are accustomed to this, but freshmen find it novel. A singing hat is worthy of Hogwarts, full of weird things. Wayne listened, but soon lost interest. It is said that the sorting hat sings a different song every year. It is used once a year, and the rest of the time the hat is used to think about the lyrics. Fighting on the street is fighting on the street. Even if I think about it for a year, this word is not good. When the song ended, everyone applauded cooperatively. Whoever's name I read put on his hat and sat down, waiting for the sorting results, McGonagall said. Everyone finally breathed a sigh of relief. It just means wearing a hat. Anyone can do this. Although this hat is so dirty that many little witches who love cleanliness look at it with disgust, but compared with the tests Wayne mentioned. It's so simple. Hannah Abbott, a girl with braids, ran over in a hurry. Wayne's eyes also fell on the Iron Hat King. Sister-in-law Nyan put the hat on her head, and within a moment the sorting hat was decided. Hufflepuff, the people at the table to the right applauded Hannah and welcomed her. Susan Bones, Susan, who had just been on the same boat as Wayne and Hermione, took over. Hufflepuff. 2 students in a row were sorted into Hufflepuff, which undoubtedly made the little badgers very happy. Cedric applauded excitedly in the crowd. Suddenly he felt a gaze staring at him. Turning around, Wayne was looking at him with a half-smile. Thinking of how he had lied to Wayne on the train, honest Cedric waved his hand at him in embarrassment. Wayne didn't take it seriously. Laugh, laugh. After a while you won't be able to laugh anymore. Professor McGonagall's anger was completely ignited. Terry Butt, Ravenclaw. As the line continued to dwindle, Hermione took the time to ask Wayne which college he wanted to attend. After hearing Hufflepuff, the little witch's face was full of disbelief. The book says that Hufflepuff is probably the most mediocre house in Hogwarts. Why does Wayne want to go there? But it was too late. According to the letter, Hermione was quickly called. She almost ran to the stool and hurriedly put it on. because her head was too small, almost her whole head was stuffed into it. Gryffindor, the hat shouted, and Wayne wasn't surprised. There was no external influence, and it was normal for Hermione to go to Gryffindor. Several more little wizards passed by. Wayne observed it and found that the students assigned to Ravenclaw and Slytherin were the least, especially Slytherin. There were only 2 students so far. There are only 4 Ravenclaws. Hufflepuff has the most, and that's actually true. There are still a lot of empty seats at the tables in other colleges, but Hufflepuff looks very full. Neville Longbottom, McGonagall shouted again. When Neville put on his hat, it took a long time for the Sorting Hat to call out Gryffindor. Neville excitedly ran away with the hat, causing a burst of laughter. He blushed and trotted back to put the hat away. Wayne was sure that at this moment, Neville wanted to turn into Leifu and hide in a place where no one could find him. Wayne Lawrence. McGonagall finally called Wayne's name. All the freshmen looked at Wayne. They were frightened by the lie just now, and Malfoy gritted his teeth. Many senior students were also impressed. What a cute little wizard. Come to your sister's arms, let her love and care for you, and check your wand. At the guest of honor seat, Dumbledore raised his head, his glasses reflecting the light, and curiosity emerged in his heart. Which house will this young genius who can spontaneously cast the Patronus charm be assigned to when he gets the wand? Under the spotlight, Wayne picked up the hat and put it on his head. Soon, a voice sounded from his mind. Oh, what an interesting little wizard. In fact, during the summer vacation, I just received the Hogwarts admission notice. Wayne is a little afraid of the Sorting Hat. There are too many secrets in him, including cheats, the identity of the time traveler, and memories that are familiar with the plot. Each of these is a shocking secret. Once people find out, they will probably want to slice him up and study him. But with the understanding and mastery of magic and more analysis, Wayne discovered that the Sorting Hat was not as scary as he thought. This hat brings together the wisdom of the 4 founders and has the ability to send young wizards to the most suitable academy for them. But this does not mean that the Sorting Hat can see through a person's memory. He could only see some of the shallowest thoughts. Like legilimency, he could also detect the shining points in the little wizards to identify schools for them. Therefore, Wayne simply conducted a few mind transfer trainings and stopped worrying. On the contrary, Lao Deng is the one who needs more attention. If one day I look at old B and I am thinking about plot-related or system-related things, I will be in big trouble. You don't feel nervous at all. Looking back to Liteng, the Sorting Hat and Wayne were communicating with each other. In the past 1,000 years, the Sorting Hat has seen all kinds of young wizards, but there are not many who are as relaxed as Wayne. Why are you so nervous? Wayne asked back, there are only these 4 academies on my side. Is it possible that you can still expel me? Of course not, kid. The Sorting Hat responded cheerfully, but I can shout Azkaban. I think the effect will be good. I once heard Dumbledore complain that Azkaban has become an advanced class at Hogwarts. Your talent is so good, it's not a problem to go in directly. Wayne remained calm. That's the territory of the Ministry of Magic. You don't have the ability at all. Just kidding, if he had SS-level black magic talent, he might panic for a few seconds. But now, A+ black magic talent is certainly not bad, but it also depends on what it is compared to. He has only a few SS-level talents, but when it comes to black magic, Wayne is simply stupid now. Snort. Seeing that it didn't scare Wayne, the Sorting Hat snorted and began to perform its duties, nagging in Wayne's mind. Full of talent, this comfortable feeling reminds me of Dumbledore back then. How about Gryffindor? Ha, you don't like Gryffindors? Hey boy, be polite to the academy established by my master. Although I don't like those little lions very much. They always want to give me a bath. Then Slytherin. There is no doubt that you can reach the top there, but your ambition. Merlin's bitter tea seed, why is your ambition like this? If I sort you into Slytherin, I will be hated by the Slytherins. Wayne's face turned red in a rare blush. His ambition. Ahem, let's not mention it. It is our duty to strengthen the Lawrence family. Then go to Ravenclaw. Smart little minds are very popular in Ravenclaw, and you can realize your ambitions at the same time. Ravenclaw has the most girls. Wayne couldn't help it. Old man, why didn't you mention Hufflepuff? The Sorting Hat was silent. Maybe it's because of Wayne's novel title, but more likely it's because of marveling at Wayne's lack of self-awareness. No, the Sorting Hat asked a little confusedly, How can you tell that you have the qualities that Hufflepuff needs? What do you mean by that? Wayne was unhappy. Which one of them did I miss? Loyalty. My little brothers are all loyal to me. No one dared to betray me in elementary school. Sorting hat. Is that how you understand it? Kind. I don't even bother to step on the ants on the roadside. Perseverance. I will always be SB. Wayne answered the last one with great certainty. Sorting hat. Do you really want to go to Hufflepuff? The Sorting Hat was confused. He thought there was nothing wrong with what Wayne said, but there was a big problem. Fortunately, the young wizard's wishes also accounted for a large proportion in the branch, so he asked again. Sure, hurry up and I'll bring you a set of Muggle clothing care tools when I have time. It's a deal. The Sorting Hat became interested. A dirty deal was made, and the Sorting Hat shouted, Hufflepuff. When the dust settled, the entire auditorium burst into thunderous applause, sending heartfelt blessings. Except for Hermione, the little witch was a little disappointed. She really hoped that Wayne could come to Ravenclaw so that she could have a companion in class. It's too long. For 15 minutes, another hater appeared in Hogwarts, a student whose Sorting Hat could not decide the sorting result for more than 5 minutes. All the teachers and students in the school remember the name Wayne Lawrence. Looking back at history, apart from Wayne, there have only been 2 haters in this century. One was Peter Pettigrew, the deceased Order of Merlin First Class. The other person is Professor McGonagall, standing next to Wayne. He looked at Wayne, who took off his hat, nodded to himself, and ran to the Hufflepuff long table. She thought of several outcomes. Wayne could go to Gryffindor, Ravenclaw, or even Slytherin. But I just didn't expect that it would be Hufflepuff in the end. She called out the name of the next little wizard and glanced at the Sorting Hat without any trace. Could it be that this hat has been working for too long and lost its mind? This way. Cedric stood up and waved enthusiastically. The classmate next to him made room for Wayne. When he sat down, Cedric whispered, You are so awesome. For 15 minutes, I almost couldn't stand it. Wayne watched in horror as Cedric rubbed his belly. I'm already starving to death. You guys have been taking so long this time. Oh, so that's what it means. It startled him. Then how long did it take you? Me. It'll be over in 3 seconds, isn't it? Quick. Too fast. Wayne gave a thumbs up, and Cedric was proud of himself. The next students went much more smoothly until Harry Potter appeared, and there was another sensation in the auditorium. When he was assigned to Gryffindor, the twins and several classmates next to him almost overturned the table. When the last one, Blaise Chabini, was assigned to Slytherin, Professor McGonagall rolled up the parchment, took the Sorting Hat and left, sitting on Dumbledore's right hand again. The little wizards all looked at the principal expectantly, waiting for his order to start showing off immediately. Dumbledore stood up with a smile on his face and opened his arms. Nothing seemed to make him happier than being surrounded by students. Welcome. His voice was loud. Welcome everyone to Hogwarts to start the new school year. I want to say a few words before the banquet, that is. Idiot, crying nose, residue, screw it. Thank you all. Loudeng sat down again and everyone applauded and cheered. Diagonally across from Wayne, a little badger looked confused. What do these words mean, Principal? Are you a Ravenclaw? What nonsense are you talking about? Of course I'm a Hufflepuff. Then why do you care about this? Hurry up and eat your food. The originally empty dinner plate was filled with food. Roast beef, roast chicken, pork chops, lamb chops, sausages, steaks, mashed potatoes, French fries, puddings, various vegetables, gravy sauces, and even mint candies. All. In terms of category, it can definitely be called a rich one, especially for Britain, which is a food desert. You can't ask for more from a country whose state banquet is all French cuisine. Wayne eats quite well. He is not picky about food. As long as the ingredients are of good quality, casual cooking such as steak and lamb chops will not be too bad. He also saw Ronald eating a chicken drumstick on the long Gryffindor table, eager to take a bite. Wayne feels that he should be assigned to Hufflepuff, which is a paradise for foodies. In other colleges, people chatted while eating, but when it came to Little Badger, it was all about eating. Cedric only cared about saying a few words to Wayne at first, but by the end his cheeks were stuffed, and he didn't forget to give Wayne a plate. Place a large chicken drumstick. He really made me cry to death. At the guest of honor seat, Snape was chatting with Quirrell. Quirrell had a scarf wrapped around his head, making him look more like an Arab. Professor McGonagall also listened to Professor Sprout's ear, and Sprout looked a little unhappy. Lawrence, can you get me 2 Yorkshire puddings? The iron-hatted king looked at him eagerly from a distance away. Just call me Wayne, Hannah. Wayne gave her the pudding. The little girl smiled cutely, flicked her braid, and then immersed herself in eating again. A milky white ghost was still sitting nearby, introducing and recommending dishes that he thought were good. Everyone called him the Fat Monk. Well, Wayne's feelings are a bit subtle. A wizard who was hunted down by the Holy See in the Middle Ages became a monk. This feeling is really hard to describe. The banquet lasted for nearly an hour, and at the end a bunch of desserts were served. Wayne was grateful for this. Desserts in England were like eating icing sugar, and he didn't want to suffer from diabetes at a young age. Finally, the pudding disappeared, Dumbledore stood up, and the great hall became calm again. The little wizards are waiting for the principal's final lecture. But just when Dumbledore was about to speak, Professor McGonagall suddenly said, "Please wait, Albus, before you say anything. I have something I need to take care of." Dumbledore was stunned for a moment. This link had never happened before, but he quickly smiled gently and let McGonagall speak first. Although Lao Deng was the principal at certain times, when McGonagall became stern, even he had to avoid his edge. Dumbledore is nominally the headmaster, but Professor McGonagall is actually responsible for the day-to-day operations of the school. George, Fred, you two will be in confinement starting tomorrow. You will report to Filch at 8 o'clock every night. You will wipe all the trophies in the trophy room 3 times. You will be released from confinement when you finish wiping them. The twins, who were still telling jokes to make the girls happy, were stunned for a moment, then stood up quickly. Why, Professor McGonagall? The eyes of the twins were full of confusion and grievance. They were full of bad intentions, but they hadn't put them into practice yet when they arrived at school. Is early punishment popular now? Ask me. McGonagall glared at the two of them sternly. Who asked you to scare the little wizards and describe the sorting ceremony so horribly? Sprout also smiled and spoke. She was a chubby lady who looked very gentle. Cedric, you should go help too. Now, both Gemini and Cedric looked at Wayne. The case was solved. Wayne lowered his head shyly, as if he was embarrassed. Yes, Professor. The 3 of them responded dejectedly, and Cedric gritted his teeth and whispered, You tricked us on purpose. Wayne remained calm and said, Don't talk nonsense. I'm a young wizard who just entered school, and I don't understand anything. Too bad. You should be sorted into Slytherin. Cedric raised his middle finger. The twins looked at each other and laughed silently. Even though they were tricked by Wayne, they found it more interesting. What should they do? This is much more fun than their stupid brother Ronald. Okay. Dumbledore spoke, still smiling. I feel relieved to see you are still so energetic. However, I still want to raise a few things to note. Attention first-year students. No students are allowed to enter the forested area on the school grounds. Our old classmates should also remember this. His bright eyes glanced at the twins, but they were busy planning how to get back to Wayne and didn't notice at all. It's just a wink thrown to a blind man. Also, Mr. Filch also asked me to remind everyone not to perform magic in the corridors between classes. Quidditch review will also be held in the 2nd week of this semester. Students who are interested in participating in the varsity team can contact Ms. Hooch. Finally, I must tell everyone that anyone who does not want to encounter an accident and die in pain should not enter the corridor on the right side of the 4th floor. Wayne curled his lips disdainfully. Isn't it true that there are 300 taels of silver in this place? Lao Deng's words are simply saying that he buried all his treasures and glory in the corridor on the right side of the 4th floor. Go find it. The little lions are already gearing up now. Now, before everyone goes to bed, let's sing the school song, Dumbledore said loudly. All teachers and students stood up, and Wayne also stood up. At the same time, the system in his mind sent out a prompt. Congratulations to the host. Please give me some data, and thank you GK Boss for the reward. Congratulations to the host. You have successfully made the Weasley twins and Hufflepuff model student Cedric see the evil in people's hearts. As the host shows his talent, for the first time at Hogwarts, the points earned are doubled, and the points are plus 200 demons were dancing wildly in the auditorium, and Dumbledore used magic to conjure up lyrics, but there was no music score, allowing the students to express themselves freely. On the surface, Wayne was lip-syncing, But in his heart, his thoughts were spinning. I just cheated a bunch of Geminis and Cedric and got 200 points. Even if there is no first recharge, if you double it for the first time, it will still be 100 points. It seems that after the system upgrade, he can earn points much easier than before. Back then, he beat up all the students in the class and only got more than 100 points. Okay, Hogwarts is indeed his blessed place. If you cheat the twins once, you will get 100 points. If you cheat the twins once every 3 days, won't you be guaranteed 1 gold this year? Wayne licked his lips and had to say, it was indeed a bit tempting. Fred and George, who were still singing the school song to the tune of Funeral March, couldn't help but shudder, as if they were being stared at by something terrible. The singing of the school song ended hastily, and Dumbledore was so moved that he wiped his wet eyes. This is the charm of music. Okay, it's bedtime now. Let's go back to the dormitory. It was already past 8 o'clock when the sorting ceremony ended, and after another hour of eating, Dumbledore asked everyone to go back to sleep. The others ran away in a swarm, while the prefects organized the freshmen to stand up and led them back to the lounge. Cedric mingled with the freshman team. Wayne, how are you going to make it up to me? I don't understand what you are talking about. Sleep well tonight. I have to go to CJB tomorrow. It's physical work. Cedric laughed angrily. Stop pretending. It must be you who filed a complaint with Professor McGonagall. This is my first time in solitary confinement. What should I say? Thank you for giving Fred and George your first time. Wayne shrugged helplessly. I didn't complain. Professor McGonagall knew it himself. If you don't believe me, you can ask Hannah or Susan. The two girls were not far away and had been eavesdropping on their conversation. Seeing that she was being pointed out, Susan nodded subconsciously. Cedric realized something was wrong and asked the two girls for details. After hearing this, his face turned pale. It's over. Professor McGonagall must be very angry with me. I still want to join her Transfiguration Club. Don't worry. Wayne comforted. With George and Fred, you can at best be considered an accomplice. Professor McGonagall will forget about it in a few days. Cedric stopped talking and made up his mind to never mess with Wayne again. This kid looks harmless to humans and animals, but his stomach is full of bad things. Hufflepuff's common room is located in the basement of the school. The entrance is among the pile of large barrels on the right side of the kitchen corridor. Just follow the rhythm of Helga Hufflepuff and tap the second barrel in the middle of the second row, and the barrel lid will rotate to reveal the passage. Unlike Gryffindor, Slytherin's passwords are changeable, and Ravenclaw has to rack his brains to answer the questions every time he comes in and out. Hufflepuff's style is simple and practical. This password has been in use since the founding of Hogwarts and has never been changed. But with such a simple password, no outsider has ever entered the Hufflepuff Lounge. It is also the only academy with face recognition. Even if the rhythm is right, but it is not a little badger, the door will not open, and various flavors of vinegar will be sprayed from the barrel to drive away intruders. It is said that many little wizards will deliberately make mistakes when they are short of money, and then sell them with vinegar. I don't know which unscrupulous store would buy it. These vinegars have all kinds of flavors. It would be too bad to give them to customers. The prefects dutifully told the young wizards this information and demonstrated it 3 times before finally opening the door to the lounge. The short body slipped through the passage, and there was a huge circular room inside. The ceiling of the common room is very low, the temperature is moderate, and it is simple yet comfortable. There are hanging or placed plants everywhere, giving it a feeling of a cabin in the woods. There are also many plush sofas and chairs placed on the soft floor stalls. Wayne is very satisfied with his entertainment environment for the next 7 years. Although it is a basement, there are actually windows here, so there is no shortage of sunlight. The prefect walked to the fireplace and pointed to the portrait hanging above. It was a witch holding a gold cup and smiling cheerfully. This is Miss Helga Hufflepuff. Because of her kindness, she took in many house elves and protected them from abuse and abuse. So, Hufflepuff always gets preferential treatment in the kitchen. If you need it, you can go to the kitchen next door to get it. Don't be polite to them. Speaking of this, the prefect's face was filled with pride. This is a privilege exclusive to Hufflepuff. Your politeness may seem to the elves that they have not done their job well, and they will blame themselves. After the introduction, The rest of the time is free time. As expected of Hufflepuff, many seniors entertained the freshmen enthusiastically and took out snacks from various places to entertain them. Faced with some questions raised by freshmen, he answered them patiently and also gave a lot of his own experience. Wayne was also chatting with Cedric about the school stairs. You must not sleep in late tomorrow. The stairs in the school will keep changing. If you take the wrong step, you will most likely be late. It would be better if it was a course taught by the dean or Professor Flitwick, but if you're late for transfiguration or potions. Cedric shuddered and gave him a wishful look. What's the use of just talking? Wayne said helplessly, I don't know the rules of this ghost staircase. Let's do this. Cedric thought for a while. The new students will get their class schedule at breakfast tomorrow. You come out early and I will show you around first. Wayne gave a thumbs up. As expected of you, Cedric, a standard Hufflepuff. As enthusiastic as you are, I will ensure that you are safe and sound when the Triwizard Tournament begins. When the conversation got exciting, several prefects took the senior students to the kitchen and brought a lot of juice and hot water. It felt so good to lie down and be fed. Wayne couldn't help but admire himself for being so good at choosing a college. Until everyone felt sleepy. The number of people in the lounge gradually dwindled, and Wayne also entered his dormitory through the round door. Inheriting the style of the common room, Hufflepuff student accommodation is equally spacious and warm. There are 4 beds placed in the nearly 100-square-meter room, separated by a desk and a wardrobe. There is enough space for everyone. When the dormitory was finally assigned, there were only 3 boys in Wayne's dormitory because there was one difference in the number of students. Their suitcases had been delivered to their beds by the elves. They packed them up as expected, washed briefly, and then lay on the bed to have a tea party. The first is to introduce yourself. My name is Norman Sherlock. The blond boy on the bed closest to the door introduced himself enthusiastically. My family is an ordinary person. My father is a school teacher, and my mother is a real estate agent. When I received the admission notice, I thought it was a prank. Professor Flitwick came the next day. At first, my mother thought he was a physically disabled beggar and gave the professor £5. But later, Professor Flitwick used a magic spell to conjure a bison out of thin air and then levitated the bison around my house. They finally believed it. Speaking of this, Norman's eyes were shining. Once he learns this trick, won't there be no shortage of beef at home? We're not much different. The black-haired boy sleeping between Wayne and Norman spoke up. His name was Toby Brown. My family is half and half. My mother is a witch. Norman asked strangely, Then you are not a mixed race. How can you say you are similar to me? In order to hide her identity, Mother has never used magic in front of us. Toby explained. When I received the letter from the owl, my father thought it was a liar, but my mother insisted that everything was true. But when her father asked her to prove it, she forgot where she lost her wand because she hadn't used magic for so long. In the end, it was Professor McGonagall who came, and my dad believed it. Ahem! Norman laughed, and Wayne, who was drinking water, also choked. This is nothing weird. What about you, Wayne? Are you half-blood or muggle-born? Toby asked. Wayne didn't need to introduce himself. His saucy maneuvers in the side hall and the more than 10 minutes of sorting process made every little wizard remember his name. I was born into a muggle family. My behavior when I received the notice was similar to yours, nothing special. Wayne spoke briefly and did not introduce the situation at home. It was getting late, and the 3 of them agreed to wait in the lounge tomorrow morning for Cedric to show them the way, and the dormitory became quiet again. It can be seen that the 2 roommates are relatively easy to get along with. The only drawback is that Toby snores while sleeping, but it's not a problem for Wayne. Silence. Without even holding his wand, Wayne just waved his hand casually and silenced Toby, which lasted for 3 to 5 hours. Sneak attack on roommate, points +5. Okay, let's play like this, right? If you say a sneak attack, just do a sneak attack. Anyway, just give me points. September 2nd is the official first day of school. Wayne woke up naturally at 7 o'clock. He gave each of his 2 roommates a big P***C, woke them up, and after washing up, he went to the common room. Without keeping the 3 of them waiting, Cedric appeared, rubbing his sleepy eyes. There were only 4 of them in the common room at this time, and Hufflepuff was definitely serious about showing off. Few people came out of their dormitories until the last moment, and those who came out went straight to the auditorium to cook. Come on, go have breakfast first, get your class schedule, and I'll take you around. Several people got out of the passage and soon arrived at the auditorium. Living in a basement is good for this. The distance to the cafeteria is close, and most of the classrooms are on the lower floors. It saves a lot of time compared to Gryffindor and Ravenclaw. It was not 8 o'clock yet, and there were very few young wizards in the auditorium. Hermione was the only new student at the Gryffindor table. Seeing Wayne, she waved hello. Wayne walked over. I'm going to follow Cedric to find the way in a moment. Do you want to come with me? Okay. Hermione agreed readily. She has read Hogwarts, a school history, and naturally knows how difficult the school's stairs are. The reason why I got up so early was to have time to get familiar with it. After saying a few words, Wayne returned to the Hufflepuff long table for breakfast. Compared with yesterday's sumptuous breakfast, today's breakfast was much simpler. Baked potatoes, bread, sausage, bacon, eggs, beans, drinks including milk and several juices, hot cocoa. Wayne pulled himself 2 slices of bread, spread mayonnaise on it, and added a few slices of bacon and eggs to make a simple sandwich. Not long after he sat down, a parchment schedule appeared in front of him. There are 8 courses for first-grade wizards this year. Potions, charms, defense against the dark arts, transfiguration, history of magic, herbology, astronomy, and flying. Among them, astronomy class and flying class are only once a week, and astronomy class is still in the evening. The remaining 6 courses are divided into 2 to 3 classes each week, with each class lasting 50 minutes. Wayne has no classes on Wednesday and Thursday afternoons this semester. Counting weekends, he basically has classes and holidays halfway, which is very relaxing. After a while, the twins also came to the auditorium. They looked around and found Wayne behind them and immediately rushed over aggressively, as if they were launching an attack to accuse him. Wayne, how dare you come out? Glancing at the passage behind the guest of honor seat, Wayne's eyes changed, and he asked doubtfully, Why don't I dare to come out? It's obvious that you and Cedric lied to me. Fred sneered. We only told you who told you to tell other little wizards. I didn't know you were lying. Stop pretending, Wayne. George made a face. I can tell at a glance that you are not an honest person. Fred and I have never been the only ones to prank others, and we've never been tricked like this. Wayne looked scared. What are you going to do? Aren't you afraid that I will sue Professor McGonagall? Fred sneered. What's the point of suing Principal Dumbledore? Can you find evidence? Mr. Lawrence can't, but I can. An extremely cold female voice came from behind the two of them, and the smiles on Fred and George's faces froze, transferred to Wayne's face. The Weasley twins paid the price for their arrogance. Originally, the two of them were just threatening each other and didn't really want revenge. They just wanted to see Wayne begging for mercy. However, he survived and was caught by Professor McGonagall, who had just arrived in the cafeteria. She originally felt something was wrong when she saw her little lion standing on the long table of Hufflepuff Academy. When I got closer and heard it, my face was blue with anger. A student for 3 years, he actually threatened a new kid who just entered school. When Wayne told her, the twins actually said that they weren't even afraid of Dumbledore knowing. Not afraid, right? I appreciate your willingness to die rather than surrender. The confinement that was supposed to end after wiping the trophy 3 times was super doubled. After wiping the trophy, they also had to make a handwritten copy of famous Gryffindor alumni and their life stories. When they heard this punishment, the twins almost fainted. 3 times. Those books combined are at least dozens of inches thick. The two of them didn't care to settle the score with Wayne. Under the fierce gaze of Professor McGonagall, they returned to the Gryffindor table dejectedly. You definitely did it on purpose. Cedric made his judgment with great certainty after watching the whole process. Wayne continued to eat the sandwich and said calmly, Everyone dies, and some people need a little help. Cedric was speechless. How did this guy get Hufflepuff? Sorting Hat, you are blind. After breakfast, Hermione stood beside Wayne in a lively manner, letting Norman and Toby give a thumbs up quietly from an angle that the little witch couldn't see. It's really amazing. There was a cute little witch following me when I first entered school. Although Hermione's hair is a bit messy, but that's all, Hanako is definitely the cutest thing without showing her teeth. Other freshmen saw them gathering together and asked curiously. Then the team immediately grew stronger, with more than a dozen little badgers surrounding Cedric. In desperation, he could only call a few friends to help and divided into several teams. A group of people walked out of the passage in a mighty manner and came to the teaching area. There are a total of 142 staircases in the entire castle, and their shape and position will change at any time. Perhaps sometimes you're walking up the stairs from the third to the fourth floor, but when you step on it, the stairs will change their excuse and take you directly to the top floor. To be honest, I didn't understand the pattern in the past 2 years. Especially on Friday, these stairs were like crazy. Even senior students who are about to graduate sometimes get lost if they are not careful. Cedric took Wayne and Hermione to the third floor, and his two roommates followed the other seniors. Pay attention to this staircase. Don't use force or run when walking on it, otherwise it will take you directly to the eighth floor. There are 4 more staircases like this. I can't remember exactly, maybe there are more. Hermione nodded vigorously and even took out a notebook to write down. Wayne was a little bored. Cedric, are you just fooling your brother with this? Why don't you give me something useful? What do you mean? Cedric looked at him blankly, not understanding what Wayne was referring to. Let's take a shortcut to the secret passage outside the castle. What are you talking about? Cedric criticized righteously. How could I possibly know such a thing? Wayne, it's wrong to break school rules. Hermione seriously criticized Wayne's dangerous idea. If you haven't been caught, you haven't violated it. Wayne waved his hand, not caring. Cedric patted him on the shoulder and said nothing. He figured out the school's most basic rules when he first entered school, and it was only at the end of last semester that he gradually understood all of this. Why is Filch a squib as the college warden? Why is it that as long as students are not caught in front of their faces, even if the teacher sees their backs, they will not be deducted points or punished? This is the unspoken rule of Hogwarts that has been passed down for thousands of years. It is a battle of wits and courage between teachers and students, and it is also a form of exercise. Many people only gradually understand the secrets of this place after they graduate or even start a family, so they regret it before they do so. How many wonderful lives did they miss? Cedric smiled and said, Since you said so, let me show you some of my tricks. He led Hermione and Wayne to an empty picture frame, and with 3 taps of his wand, the frame turned into a real door. Exit through here, and you can reach the bushes near the Quidditch pitch. Time is limited. I won't take you to the next location. Next, Cedric introduced 2 secret passages to Wayne, one leading to the other side of the castle, which could be used to hide from Filch and his cat, Mrs. Norris, when they were discovered during a night trip. The other one leads from the 5th floor to the 2nd floor and can be used for traveling. Hermione's world view gradually collapsed. She originally thought that Cedric was the same type of person as her, who loved learning and was ranked first every year. Looking at it now, this is not the case at all. Okay, that's it for today. I have to go to the basement quickly. The first period today is potions class. As the time approached 9 o'clock, Cedric said hastily and left. Let's not be in a daze and go to the 2nd floor. Looking at Hermione, who was still a little slow to recover, Wayne urged her. Their first lesson today was history of magic, taught by Hufflepuff and Gryffindor together. Oh. Hermione followed the boy and finally couldn't help complaining. It shouldn't be like this. Aren't the rules meant to be followed? Diggory is a good student, why would he? This is Hogwarts. Wayne stopped suddenly and turned around. The little witch almost threw herself into his arms. After all, the worldview of wizards is very different from that of muggles. Many things that may seem excessive to you are actually not important in the magical world. The same goes for the rules. Wayne guided Hermione like a little devil. Do you want to follow the rules and miss the real Hogwarts, or do you want to improve your ability to avoid teachers and explore this 1,000-year-old castle? Hermione was so dizzy after being told that, her mind went blank. All he knew was that he subconsciously held Wayne's clothes to ensure that he wouldn't get lost. The two came to the classroom. At this time, there were many people sitting here with excited expressions on their faces, until a ghost walked through the wall and appeared on the podium. For the first lesson, The little badgers and little lions responded with great enthusiasm and expectations. They fantasize about waving their wands, chanting incantations, mastering powerful magic, and getting extra points from their professors. Unfortunately, this enthusiasm dissipated after I got the class schedule and discovered that the first class was history of magic. It was even more shocking to see that the professor was actually a ghost. Was even more unlucky was that Cuthbert Binns' voice was filled with magic, and he was gasping for breath when he spoke. In less than 5 minutes, the little wizards started to fight before their eyes. Just as Wayne was about to close his eyes, Hermione pinched him with her little hand and whispered, "Don't be distracted." Wayne looked helpless. "Sister, am I distracted? I'm about to lose my soul when I step on a horse." What he read was all from the textbook. I could memorize it by reading it once. There was no point in listening to the lecture. This is basic respect for professors. Little McGonagall said seriously. She would not be fooled by Wayne in this regard. Wayne already regretted sitting with Hermione at this point, even if he wanted to catch up on some sleep. At the same time, he complained in his mind that all the principals of Hogwarts were stingy. Cuthbert Binns has been dead for hundreds of years, so he must have been appointed as the history of magic professor in order not to pay him a salary. As the history of magic teacher invited by the 4 founders of Hogwarts since its establishment, Cuthbert Binns was already very old at that time. One day when he went to class, he left his body on the seat in the staff lounge. Since then, Hogwarts has never replaced its history of magic professor. A professor who does not require a salary, does not ask for leave, and must be perfect every year is the best workforce that countless principals dream of. It's just that these little wizards, who have suffered for generations, have to endure torture in every class. For hundreds of years, no one has ever taken a Netwas course on the history of magic, and no one can. "Hello, Wayne." Wayne was mentally cursing that the principal should be hung from the street lights. Ronald, who was sitting at the table on the other side of him, suddenly whispered hello. Beside him, Harry Potter was nodding his head and was about to fall asleep. Seeing Ronald talking to Wayne, he immediately became energetic. "What's the matter, Ronald?" Seeing that Hermione didn't care about him, Wayne replied with relief. "Oh, it's nothing." Ronald shook his head. "I just want to say thank you. You are really amazing." This is the first time I have seen George and Fred get hurt on someone else. Or twice. Ronald was a little excited, and his voice was much louder, waking up several little wizards from their sweet dreams. Harry was speechless as he looked at his best friend who he had just met for a day. Those who know it think the twins are your biological brothers, but those who don't know them think they are your enemies. You can think of Fred and the others as your cousins. Ronald explained for Harry. In an instant, Harry's eyes changed, and he understood completely. "You're welcome." Wayne didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He didn't expect Ronald to thank him for such a thing. How miserable the Gemini usually bullied him. To be honest, when I first watched the original book and movie, Wayne was still very unhappy with the role of Ronald. He was very jealous, easy to make things difficult for himself, and his talent was not outstanding. In the end, he actually married Hermione, who was the Minister of Magic. This is absolutely shady. But the older I get, the more I realize it's not easy for Ronald. There are 5 brothers in total. 3 of them are always ranked first in grade, and have worked all the way from prefect to president of the student council. Although the twins' learning abilities are not that exaggerated, their prank abilities are definitely at a historical level. In this environment abroad, the popularity of Gemini is still higher than that of Percy, a top academic, and a real man of the hour. Further down, the old sister Ginny also inherited a strong magical talent. Just Ronald, nothing. Growing up in such a high-pressure environment, Ronald just has an awkward personality and has no problem with right and wrong. It has been proven that he has a good foundation. Of course, this doesn't mean that Wayne will deliberately make friends with Ronald. He just won't look at everyone with the stereotypes in the past. This is the real world, and everything must be based on his own feelings. So far, he feels good about Ronald, and he can be a friend whom he can meet and greet and chat with. Cuthbert Binns was talking above, and the 2 of them were talking below, and in the end, Harry joined in. "Wayne, are you also from a Muggle family? That's great. No, I mean we are really destined. We don't live too far apart. I'm on Privet Drive, Surrey." In just a few words, Harry revealed all his secrets. Good-looking people usually gain the favor of others easily. Wayne is the best example. Harry has regarded him as his first friend from other houses. The 50 minutes passed quickly, and before get out of class ended, Cuthbert Binns left a 6-inch paper explaining the origins of early morning wizarding in England. The next class was Transfiguration, with Hufflepuff and Slytherin. Before they separated, the little witch angrily pulled Wayne to the corner. "You cannot do that. You bought a lot of books before school started. I know you are a person who loves to learn. You must listen carefully in class, even if the teacher is a ghost." Looking at Hermione, who was really like a little lion, Wayne nodded obediently. "Don't worry, I will definitely pay attention to it in the future." Hermione didn't know whether Wayne listened, but she was pressed for time, so she could only glare at Wayne and leave in a hurry, feeling a little disappointed in her heart. She also really regarded Wayne as a friend, so she hoped that Wayne could study hard. Wayne understood this, so he wasn't angry at all. After a while, when Hermione sees his results, she will naturally not be like what she is today. The Transfiguration classroom is on the 2nd floor. Wayne and a group of little badgers walked into the classroom. The first thing he saw was the tabby cat on the table in front of him. He nodded slightly in greeting and found a seat to sit down. To be honest, he really wanted to J*O Professor McGonagall and wanted to experience whether the animagus's hand would feel better. But he had already witnessed Professor McGonagall's transformation process during the summer vacation, and if he came forward to do it again, he would be courting death. But Wayne knows that many other little wizards don't, especially Hufflepuff. Most of the little wizards in this academy like animals and plants. After seeing the cat, some even took out snacks from their pockets to feed them. Wayne immediately looked at the warriors. Led by the Iron Hat King, several Hufflepuff girls are ready to make a move, but have not yet made up their minds. But as the time got closer to class, it felt like Professor McGonagall was coming soon. In order not to miss this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, Hannah brought Bones, Juliet, and several other girls together, each holding some snacks in their hands. Damn it! Wayne's eyes widened. "Miranda, where did you get the catnip?" At this moment, the tabby cat surrounded by the girls suddenly showed a human smile, jumped back, and returned to the appearance of Professor McGonagall, as serious as ever. "Miss Abbott, Miss Livingston, don't do such reckless things in the magical world, especially when you can't tell what the creature in front of you is." After glancing at the catnip, Professor McGonagall's mouth twitched twice without any trace. He is really a student of Hufflepuff. He can get all kinds of weird plants. My, Professor McGonagall. The little witches were obviously frightened, and they all began to stutter. "Okay, class is about to begin. Please sit back in your seat." Hearing this, several girls ran back to their seats as if they had been granted amnesty, with expressions of fear still on their faces. Even other students who were watching the excitement were startled and sat upright, waiting for class. This is a trick often used by McGonagall. When the little wizards enter school, he turns into an animagus form to scare them once, to achieve the purpose of establishing power, and it works repeatedly. Soon, the class bell rang, and Professor McGonagall also entered teaching mode. Transfiguration is the most dangerous and complex magic you will learn at Hogwarts. If anyone dares to be naughty in my class, I will ask him to leave and never come in again. The vice principal's aura was in full swing, and the whole place was silent. Malfoy and his 2 followers also shrank their necks. Even though Slytherin was protected by Snape, no one could protect them as long as Professor McGonagall was angry. On the podium, McGonagall waved his hand, and dense words appeared on the blackboard, which were the Gump transformation laws that were well known in the magic world. This is the basis, even the iron law, of all transfiguration. Anyone should keep this knowledge in mind before learning to avoid irreversible damage. The little wizards were taking notes, and Wayne was doing the same, but he took notes selectively. He already knew a lot of knowledge, so there was no need to waste ink. After they finished recording, McGonagall took out his wand and tapped the table, turning it into a pig. This hand immediately attracted the attention of the little wizard, who exclaimed in surprise, and his eyes changed from boredom to expectation. As an old professor who has taught for decades, McGonagall's teaching level is absolutely unquestionable, and he knows what the young wizards expect most. Each person was given a match. The goal of this class, or even this month's class, is to turn the match into a needle. Transfiguration is classified according to difficulty, from simple to difficult. Dead things turn into dead things, living things turn into dead things turn into living things, and living things turn into living things. The farther back you go, the greater the difficulty gap becomes. Well, let alone the future, just the first class stumped everyone. Hannah almost broke the toothpick with her wand, but there was still no change in her toothpick. Her desk mate Susan was a lot better. In 5 minutes, she successfully turned the match into green. Change, change, change for me. Malfoy gritted his teeth and filled the barrel with wands. Boom! A firework flew out from the top and nearly exploded his table. Mr. Malfoy, I told you to focus. Anger serves no purpose. McGonagall frowned and criticized. Because of your recklessness, 1 point will be deducted from Slytherin. Yes, Professor, I understand. Malfoy, who didn't dare to stab him, could only bring another match. This is too difficult. Toby let his match flash with silver light. At first he thought it was a success, but later he discovered that the match had not changed at all. It's okay, just concentrate on the match. Don't think about the consequences of success and failure. Wayne mentioned it casually, and with a flick of the wand, the match turned into a silver needle that was thick at one end and thin at the other. There are also delicate patterns on the thick end. Just as McGonagall passed by, he was surprised and delighted to see his success. Perfect, Mr. Lawrence. This skill alone is something that many young wizards cannot do in a semester. She looked at Wayne with admiration. You are very talented in transfiguration. Keep up your hard work, Mr. Lawrence. 5 points for Hufflepuff. Thank you, Professor. Wayne thanked him obediently. Toby and Norman at the front desk both looked at Wayne like he was a traitor. Didn't you say that you have never been exposed to magic before? How did you succeed so quickly? Fraud, Wayne said confidently. I previewed it when I was bored during the summer vacation. What's the problem? Toby muttered. Who is a serious person who knows how to preview? This is a huge distrust of the professor's teaching level. Okay, you can still speak. Many students also looked at Wayne with envy, and Slytherin was even more jealous. What they had not yet accomplished with pure bloods was actually accomplished by a little muggle wizard. It's just a slap in the face. Pity until the end of get out of class. No student succeeded. The closest one only made the match slightly change its shape, but the material did not change at all. However, since Wayne succeeded, Professor McGonagall was so surprised that he even exempted him from the Transfiguration homework this week, making Toby and Norman's eyes turn red. But nothing can stop the little badgers from doing their job. After class, the little wizard rushed to the cafeteria with his school bag in hand. Wayne, who was so unhurried, became an anomaly. He lowered his head and walked slowly towards the canteen, thinking about ways to make money. Under the routine last night, he found out how much pocket money many young wizards had. Now that school has just started, their wallets are at their fullest. After a while, they will spend a lot of money. We must seize the time. Because he was so absorbed in thinking while walking with his head down, Wayne didn't notice a girl coming towards him around the corner. The two collided. Ouch! The crisp sound woke Wayne. Sorry, are you okay? The black-haired girl who fell in front of Wayne rubbed her forehead and stood up, revealing her beautiful and delicate face. It's okay, just a little pain in my forehead. Sorry, I was thinking about the problem just now and didn't look at the road. Although he is the future Demon King, Wayne is also qualified. This is because he was wrong in the first place. Without waiting for the girl to speak, he stretched out his fingers and whispered softly, healed as before. Warm feeling came to her forehead, and the girl instantly found that her forehead no longer hurt. She could still see it through the mirror next to her, and the redness and swelling that had just appeared disappeared. Healing spell, or wandless casting, you are so powerful. She looked at Wayne excitedly. My name is Q Zhang, what's your name? Wayne Lawrence. This is Q Zhang. Wayne looked at the girl. She was so different from the one in movies and TV shows. She was definitely a standard Huxia beauty. I remembered, you are the hater from yesterday, Q suddenly realized. Wayne smiled and nodded. Yes, if I had known there were so many beauties in Ravenclaw, I might as well have gone to Ravenclaw. He still knows how to say nice things. As expected, Q felt a little shy but also a little happy when she heard Wayne praise herself so much. The distance between the two suddenly became much closer, and they walked towards the auditorium talking and laughing. Snort. After the two left, a soft hum came from the other side of the door. Hermione, who had just finished herbal medicine class, witnessed the whole process. She recalled Wayne's attitude when she first met. For some reason, the little witch felt uncomfortable. The Quidditch trials will start next week, and I don't know if I can be selected. Wayne and Q had a good chat. The only difference between them was that Q was so smart that Wayne should have come to Ravenclaw instead of Hufflepuff. And Wayne feels that there are not only smart people in Ravenclaw, such as Professor McGonagall and Dumbledore, these are students from other colleges. Of course, there was one evaluation in his heart that he didn't say out loud. That's why Wayne believes that Ravenclaw's so-called intelligence is mostly just self-righteous cleverness or calculating shrewdness. Let's take a look at what Ravenclaw graduates are doing. This semester's defense against the dark arts professor, Quirrell, was fooled into becoming a jinchuriki by the remnant Voldemort in just a few words. Next semester's Lockhart, a complete liar. Barty Crouch was indeed an elite wizard and one of the most capable officials of the Ministry of Magic, but he also secretly took little Barty out of Azkaban for a moment, triggering a series of subsequent disasters. Looking at it this way, most Ravenclaw people are just a little clever and have completely missed the essence. But Wayne definitely couldn't tell Q these comments. Otherwise, the girl who is still smiling sweetly now will fall out in an instant. She was heard worrying about Quidditch tryouts. Wayne also comforted him. Don't worry, Cedric said it would be good if the Ravenclaw Quidditch team can gather 7 people. If you sign up, you will definitely be selected. Ravenclaw is full of yin and yang, and there are many freaks in it, so they are not enthusiastic about participating in group activities. There's really nothing wrong with what Cedric said. It's very objective. Q's face has darkened. Cedric, that third-year number 1, Hufflepuff Seeker. Thank you for your encouragement. I'm going to train. I will definitely play against Hufflepuff next time. Q was so excited that her competitive spirit was completely ignited. The position she originally wanted to compete for was Seeker, and she secretly practiced at home for a long time during the summer vacation. As long as she can be selected, she will definitely catch the golden snitch when she competes with Hufflepuff, and let Cedric see the consequences of looking down on Ravenclaw. Wayne smiled and watched the girl leave. The host sows discord and destroys the relationship between the two colleges. Reward points plus 50 Tusk. Fortunately, this system has such a talkative owner, otherwise it would have to be uninstalled. What do you mean by sowing discord? He was just paraphrasing Cedric's original words without adding any exaggeration. Besides, isn't it normal practice to talk trash before a game? He hasn't said anything more cruel yet. For example, Fred told a secret on the train yesterday. The Quidditch match between each house and Ravenclaw takes a long time. Why? There are 7 players, 5 of whom are girls, and both batsmen are girls. Apart from playing Quidditch, where else would you have the opportunity to have so many girls play with you or even chase you? When he said this, not only the twins, but also Cedric showed a silver smile, enjoying it. In the afternoon, there were 2 spells classes together. Professor Flitwick stood on the tall pile of books and called the roll. When he read Harry Potter, he screamed excitedly and fell off the book. It took him a long time to regain his excitement and start his first spell lesson. Magic spells are the basis of everything. Learning magic spells is not only to master the magic spells, but also to improve the efficiency of learning other magic spells and let the little wizard have his own understanding of magic. This is also why Harry was able to master the disarming spell and armor spell quickly after being exposed to them. Once you have a good foundation, you will be able to learn other spells much faster. Today we are going to learn the most basic spell, the lighting spell. It is very simple. The spell is fluorescent flash. What's going on? Who made you unhappy? Wayne was still sitting with Hermione, but the little witch didn't give him a good look. Seeing Wayne sitting down, he turned his fair face to the other side without saying a word. It's just written on his face that I'm not happy. Come and comfort me. Wayne thought about it and realized that it was definitely not because of what happened in the history of magic class. Hermione was not so cautious. So what happened? Don't talk to me in class, Mr. Lawrence. Yes, Mr. Lawrence shouted away, and the culprit was found. Wayne couldn't guess what the little witch was losing, but he had no experience in coaxing girls, so he just dealt with it coldly. As Professor Flitwick allowed everyone to practice freely, the classroom suddenly became noisy. The sounds of chanting mantras came and went. Wayne raised his wand and whispered, "Lumos." As Professor Flitwick said, the lighting spell is a very basic spell. After knowing the spells and gestures, plus some tips mentioned by Flitwick, the little wizards quickly got started. The classroom was dotted with stars, flickering on and off. In order to make the light more obvious, the professor thoughtfully closed the curtains. A bright light group appeared on the tip of Wayne's wand, with moderate brightness and a stable light source. It's not like other little wizards who flicker on and off. Very good, Mr. Lawrence. 2 points for Hufflepuff. Professor Flitwick came over and praised him. He didn't show too much excitement. After all, the lighting spell is too simple and can be mastered with a little practice. Flitwick just saw that Wayne was big, round, and durable, so he added 2 points to show his encouragement. Hermione glanced sideways, raised her head, snorted coldly, and recited the spell. The tip of her wand lit up, but it wasn't as big as Wayne's. The light was too bright and a bit dazzling. When the little witch wanted to lower the brightness, the spell dissipated directly due to lack of magic control. Puff! Wayne looked so funny that he accidentally laughed out loud. "Why are you laughing? You're more skilled than me," Hermione said angrily, and then cast the lighting spell again. As a result, the performance this time was even worse. The wand only lit up once and then stopped responding. You have to have a calm mind to achieve stable output. Wayne pointed out, "So, Miss Granger, can you tell me how I made you angry?" Hermione said sourly, "No matter what I do, go find your senior Ravenclaw." Wayne's head was full of questions. First of all, even if he and Q exchanged a few words, Hermione could see them and no one else could. Secondly, "Little witch, what do you mean by your tone? We have nothing to do yet." No. Hermione also realized that there was something wrong with her tone and quickly explained. "You tried to cheat me out of money when we first met, but you treated that Ravenclaw." "What are you talking about? What are you talking about?" Wayne glanced around and found that Professor Flitwick had walked away, feeling relieved. "Am I cheating you out of money? I'm doing good deeds. Knowledge is priceless. I only spent 2 sickles and read books for a week. You can tell me whether you make a profit or not." "It's quite profitable." Hermione nodded subconsciously, "but I always feel like something is wrong." "That's all right. Just because you love learning so much, I reluctantly lent you the book. I can guarantee that if Q asks me to borrow a book, I won't give it to him." There was another round of deception, and Hermione smiled unconsciously, completely unaware that Wayne had begun to call Q by her first name. Throughout the whole class, the little wizards were practicing magic, and Toby came over distressed. "Wayne, is there any way to stabilize the light? It's like a police car's light. It's almost blinding me." "How should I put it?" Wayne pondered for 2 seconds. "Just imagine that what you are holding is not a wand but a torch, and solidify this idea." Toby returned to his seat thoughtfully. "What did Wayne say?" Norman asked. "The only problem they have is that they keep flashing. One looks like a police car and the other looks like an ambulance. Wayne said to imagine that instead of a wand, you're holding a torch and focus." "Then let me try." Norman nodded, raised his wand high and roared powerfully. "Lumos!" Boom! Light appeared, but it was fire. The flame snake spewed out, startling Professor Flitwick, and quickly summoned water to extinguish it. Talent. Wayne was amazed. His roommate was indeed not a simple person. He chanted the lighting spell and used the fire spell. If this is in a battle, it will definitely be a good hand for the Yin people. "Mr. Sherlock, what Mr. Lawrence said is right, but don't get excited. You are holding the torch, not throwing it out." Professor Flitwick explained in shock that he had been frightened just now, but fortunately the wand was held upwards. If he spoke to anyone, Madame Pomfrey in the infirmary would complain to him again. After a few more reminders, Professor Flitwick continued to patrol the classroom to help the little wizard master the magic spell. He originally thought that Norman had gone too far, but who would have thought that something more powerful was yet to come? "Mr. Finnegan, please loosen your grip. Your wand is about to be broken." There must be a pause when reciting the incantation, Lumos tilde tilde maximum. Remember this rhythm. No wonder Professor Flitwick has won the title of Hogwarts' most popular professor for 16 consecutive years. He is patient, has a good temper, and gives students a lot of internship opportunities. Everyone must like him very much. Seamus, who was nervous just now, became more relaxed under Flitwick's comfort. He raised his head confidently, and the wand in his hand turned into a baton, drawing a graceful arc. His deskmate Neville looked at him expectantly, and Flitwick also cast an encouraging look. Seamus! Wayne frowned, feeling an ominous premonition in his heart. Isn't this the explosive genius? He and Hermione were only one table away from Simon and Toby, a table of Normans and Tobys. When he heard that Seamus had begun to recite a spell, Wayne's bad feeling became more and more intense. Lumos tilde tilde maximum. Squat down. Wayne pulled Hermione without thinking, and the little witch couldn't stand still and threw herself into Wayne's arms, almost at the same time. Boom! A huge buzzing sound appeared in everyone's ears, and a strong explosion enveloped the magic classroom. More than a dozen little witches screamed at the top of their lungs, and their eardrums were punctured several times. Three people at the center of the explosion, Seamus and Neville, had their faces charred, and their hair turned into afros. Professor Flitwick escaped because of his short stature, which was a blessing in disguise. But because he was closest to the explosion, his ears were temporarily deafened. Hiccup tilde. Seamus burped and blew out 2 smoke rings, but his eyes were extremely bright, and he was completely unaware of his situation. Professor, did you see it? It lit up just now. What did you say? Professor Flitwick asked loudly. I said it lights up. Flitwick's foot stumbled, and he almost fell. That's very good. Don't say it again next time. Okay. Wayne helped the shocked Hermione up and asked concernedly. No, it's okay. Hermione shook her head, looking at Seamus with fear in her eyes. Magic is too dangerous. No, that's not right. It's not magic that's dangerous, it's Seamus. She has practiced so many spells at home, and she has never had such an accident. At most, the spell failed and had no effect. Hermione said seriously, let's stay away from Seamus from now on. I don't want to lie down and go into the school infirmary. Wayne smiled and nodded. He saw that Professor Flitwick had arranged for Seamus and Neville to practice in the corner of the classroom, just to avoid them accidentally injuring others. Fortunately, Seamus is still just a young wizard, and his magic power is far from powerful. The effect just now was just a bluff, and the actual damage was not much. Everyone was just shocked and recovered quickly. After class, Hermione had forgotten that she was still angry with Wayne just now, and happily invited him to the library to do homework together. Wayne was self-effacing. The two of them walked all the way to the library and immediately shut up after entering the door. The librarian, Mrs. Pince, is a woman with a bad temper who loves books extremely and hates noisy students. If anyone made her angry, she would wave a feather duster and chase them away. Wayne felt that she was most likely a squib, and the reason why she cherished books so much was because the contents recorded in them were the treasures she dreamed of. Hermione took out a defense against the dark arts textbook and started writing a paper, while Wayne chose a Zena's duel manual and started reading it. Zena's was the most famous dueling master at the beginning of the last century. He once set a record of 38 consecutive undefeated battles and dominated the front page for a week. The most special thing is that this duel master did not master any advanced magic and achieved such achievements by relying only on those simple spells. The book also recorded the process of several of his battles. Wayne read it and learned some useful tips. Hogwarts is a huge treasure for everyone, but not everyone has the ability or energy to obtain it. Several professors, not to mention the 4 major deans, all have real talents, and their guidance will definitely be of great benefit. Even if you go to Snape to ask questions, he may be a bit venomous at best, but he will still answer your questions. The library is also a treasured place. It contains the heritage accumulated by the castle over thousands of years. Students have 7 years to improve themselves, but how many of them have done so? Therefore, Hogwarts is very magical. It has both a happy education suitable for everyone and an elite education for the ambitious. Whether it is a dragon or an insect, it only depends on your thoughts. Wayne is dissatisfied that the restricted area is too large, taking up 1/3 of the entire library. It wasn't so big at first, but Dumbledore gradually expanded to what it is now after what happened to Voldemort. Even magic like the Patronus charm is classified in the forbidden book area. Old B dang, I can buy this magic at Flourishes and Blart's bookstore. The new semester is quickly on the right track, and the new students are gradually adapting to school life. For the vast majority of courses, everyone is quite satisfied. The favorite course for little wizards is undoubtedly charms. The professor is easy to talk to and spends a lot of time in class waving his wand and casting magic. The transfiguration class is also good, but Professor McGonagall is so strict that the young wizards are a little frightened for fear of deducting points for their academy. In addition, the transfiguration technique is too difficult. After 2 transfiguration classes, many people's hands were almost numb, but there was no progress at all. The match was still the same match, and there was no shadow of the needle. A young wizard from Ravenclaw was clever and brought a needle to class, successfully deducting 10 points from his academy. Many people say that when they see long and thin things now, they feel like silver needles, and they definitely have long needle holes. In addition, Hufflepuff's little badgers also like their dean's classes. Their task in the first week was to replace ginger root, which is a material for making magic potions and can be used to make scabies potions, intelligence enhancers, etc. When Professor Sprout said that this thing was sold in Diagon Alley for 5 pieces and a galleon, Wayne and other young wizards born into Muggle families were shocked. Don't be so surprised, kids. Sprout explained to them with a smile, "This kind of ginger is indeed the ginger you know, but the value-added potions and fertilizers used in the planting process are very valuable. That's why it's so expensive." "What fertilizer?" Wayne asked curiously. "The excrement of Moon-Crazy Beast." Professor Sprout took out a box filled with silver particles. "The feces of the Moon-Crazy Beast is very fertile and can also enhance the efficacy of medicine, but it can only be used if it is fresh and processed." Wayne nodded and took note. Most of the books he read focused on potion making and material selection, and he really didn't understand the planting and maintenance of these basic materials. He was a little surprised. Herbalism was a course taught by his dean, but he was so uninterested in it. When I go back, I will quickly read a few more books on herbal medicine to catch up on my lessons. Other than the other courses, the little wizards are not too cold about it. For example, for astronomy, you need to climb the tower at around 10 o'clock on Wednesday night and hold a telescope to look at the stars. It sounded very romantic, but it was too late, and many little wizards were already yawning sleepily. After returning home, I have to write a 10-inch astronomical observation record, which is simply torture. Not to mention the history of magic, Cuthbert Binns. Every word was a hypnotic spell, and no one except Hermione could resist it. Obviously, the story of wizards being worshipped as gods in the early days is very interesting, and you can understand it by reading the book yourself. But when it came out of Cuthbert Binns' mouth, it turned into boring letters. Everyone has regarded History of Magic as a good place to catch up on sleep because Cuthbert Binns never interfered with the students. As long as he didn't jump up and cause trouble, you could do anything. Also, defense against the dark arts was a huge letdown. Quirrell stutters, so how can he teach well? There were even rumors that Quirrell was asked to cry by a young wizard. Most people didn't take it seriously, but as the story spread wider and wider, people even knew the name of the little wizard. Now, they couldn't help but not believe it. The name Wayne Lawrence once again came into everyone's sight. Friday morning. Hufflepuff freshmen finally ushered in their first defense against the dark arts class. The classroom was located in a corner on the 3rd floor. When the first little wizard arrived, he repeatedly confirmed that he was in the right place before hesitatingly walked in. The classroom was very dark, with only one small window still closed, and the room was filled with an unspeakable strange smell. After Wayne arrived, he frowned subconsciously. Just as he was about to open the window, Quirrell arrived. Don't open it, that's fine, that's fine. Professor, I'm here for class, not to absorb toxic gases. Wayne said unhappily, and some little wizards already laughed, but he quickly covered his mouth. They were not afraid of being discovered and blamed by the professor, but because after Quirrell came in, there was a strong smell of garlic, which made the smell in the classroom even worse. I met. a resurrected zombie in the black state. I was cursed and couldn't breathe. Quirrell explained stammeringly, pointing to the scarf on his head. This is a gift from the king of a tribe, the prince. Resurrected zombie. Many little wizards became interested. The name of the resurrected zombie, also known as the resurrected zombie, is well known in the magic world. It is a mysterious religious product. Every resurrected zombie is a living dead, a walking corpse without consciousness and soul. Their attack power is not strong, but they have various uses. It is a necessary sacrifice for black wizards to practice black magic. Professor, how did you subdue the resurrected zombie? Justin Finglioli raised his hand and asked. This has nothing to do with this class. Quirrell avoided answering. Turn the textbook to the 3rd page. Today we will learn how to avoid Kappa. No, Professor, just tell me about your experience. Hannah asked again, but Quirrell ignored her and started to lecture vaguely. How to say worse than Cuthbert Binns. Although Cuthbert Binns talks very hypnotically, at least his enunciation is clear enough to be used as a bedtime story. But Quirrell was stammering, couldn't read coherently, and wanted to sleep. The smell in this room made it impossible to fall asleep. Suddenly, the defense against dark arts that everyone was most looking forward to turned into a 2-hour torture. Wayne raised his hand. Now, classmate Lawrence, do you have any questions? Quirrell asked. Professor, there is indeed a problem, and it is a big problem. Wayne stood up. I understand Cuthbert Binns reading the textbook, but if you still read the textbook, what will we learn about defense against the dark arts? When we encounter Kappa, are we going to smash him to death with our textbooks? For defense against dark arts, of course you need to learn spells. Can you tell me how to use the repel spell? His words received strong support from the students, and everyone was talking about it. Quirrell was frightened and explained stumblingly that he wanted everyone to gain more knowledge and would teach them spells. In fact, he did teach. After enduring for an hour, Quirrell wrote the spell to repel the curse on the blackboard. Then it was over. Wayne said again, Professor, please demonstrate it to us again. Quirrell hesitated for a long time and declined on the grounds that it was too dangerous. Everyone was even more dissatisfied. What danger could a repel spell have? Seeing that the situation was out of control, Quirrell squeezed out a few tears from his twinkling eyes, hugged the textbook, and ran away, leaving behind a bunch of dumbfounded little wizards. Wayne was also confused. He just wanted to earn some points, so why did he make people cry? It has been almost a week since Wayne came to school. On the one hand, Wayne is familiar with the school, but on the other hand, he has not found a suitable opportunity to earn points. The other professors all deserved his respect, and he couldn't do anything to intentionally cause trouble for the sake of points. Only Quirrell, this guy is deliberately showing off, is Voldemort's Jinchuriki, and Wayne doesn't feel any guilt at all when he bullies him. In just one class, he had already scored more than 100 points. Just when Wayne was planning to keep up his efforts and earn 200 points to rest, who would have thought that Quirrell's endurance was so poor that he actually ran away? Who can I talk to explain this? There are no secrets in Hogwarts. What happened in the classroom spread immediately. The first people to know were the other 2 houses in the first year. Did you really make Professor Quirrell cry? During lunch, Wayne was pulled to the Gryffindor table by Hermione and asked curiously. No, what happened to these 2 people? Hermione didn't answer. Wayne looked next to her. Harry and Neville both had dull eyes and numb expressions, looking like they had been played badly. Don't mention it. Ronald put down his knife and fork angrily. In potions class just now, Snape was chasing Harry like a swallow-tailed dog. He obviously asked a lot of questions about something he hadn't learned yet. In the end, Harry couldn't answer, and he deducted 2 points from us. Granger's hands are raised to the ceiling. He can't see yet. Is he blind? Hermione gave him an unhappy look. What do you mean by raising it to the ceiling and calling her a long-armed monster? It turns out I was in potions class. Wayne wasn't surprised at all now. Instead, he was surprised that Snape only deducted 2 points from them, which was too few. I have a way to save you from being targeted. Wayne pondered for a moment and said. Harry's eyelids moved, and he looked over involuntarily. Coach, I want to learn. Ahem. Wayne pretended to be profound and said, Did you keep staring at Snape when he asked you a question? Harry nodded sharply. This is a master, he even knows this. That's your fault. Wayne shook his head. Think about it when you hate someone and the other person looks at you and makes it clear that he is not convinced what will happen to you, Harry mused. I'm going to get angrier and angrier. Wayne clapped his hands and said, That's right. Next time you encounter this situation, just lower your head and admit your mistake sincerely. Even if the professor gets angry again, there's nothing you can do about it. After all, you have such a good attitude. Harry's eyes became brighter and brighter, and finally he said gratefully, Thank you, Wayne. I don't know what I would have done otherwise. You're welcome. Wayne smiled gently. Remember, never look at Snape. After saying that, after the system prompted the points to be increased by 50, he drifted away. Watching Wayne's back walking further and further away, Hermione felt a little suspicious. She always felt that this guy was doing something bad behind her back, but she had no evidence, so she had no choice but to continue eating with her head down. There is no class this afternoon, so the little witch is going to the library to finish all her homework in one afternoon and will use the 2 days on the weekend to prepare for the next homework. This week, Hermione's academic status has been clearly demonstrated, and she can help Gryffindor gain more or less points in every class, except Potions class. But she's still stressed out, and the reason is Wayne. Judging from their usual behavior in class, the two of them were actually similar, but Hermione knew that Wayne must be hiding a lot of things. In the Transfiguration class, she could only make the matches slightly change the color and texture. Although Professor McGonagall was happy, he also told Hermione that Wayne succeeded in the first try. Hermione knew that the reason why she was performing so well now was entirely due to hard work and a good memory. But what about Wayne? When this guy was with her in the library, he only read miscellaneous books and often sneaked away to play wizard chess with his classmates, crackling and exploding cards. He seemed more laid back than Harry and Ronald. Last time she caught Wayne performing the healing spell on Q Wu's wand, a skill that many adult wizards cannot master. Sheer talent would make people despair. Hermione knew that she could only catch up with Wayne's progress by working harder. He hides it too deeply. If Wayne knew what Hermione was thinking, he would definitely accuse her of being wronged. He is also hiding. After arriving at Hogwarts, Wayne had never thought about struggling to develop. The wizarding world was still relatively peaceful, and only those who showed more talents would be favored by professors. The punishment for getting into trouble in the future will be lighter. Mainly, this is what they learned in the first grade, and any student with similar skills could learn it, such as the current Hermione. It doesn't reflect his talent. Is it possible to find the professor directly to perform a magic five-whip attack? Wayne, who didn't know that he had been beaten into the ranks of old cunts by Miss Granger, came to the potions classroom in the basement after lunch. 1 week is enough for the little wizards to get to know the teachers at the school, especially Snape, a very unique professor. At almost 12:50, the classroom was filled with Hufflepuff and Ravenclaw students. No one dared to make a loud noise, and many people's eyes turned to the door from time to time. Wayne sat at the same table as Hannah, and to be honest, he wasn't too worried. Since his surname was neither Potter nor a Gryffindor student, Snape had no reason to target him. At exactly 1 o'clock, Snape walked into the classroom door without missing a beat. He strode in, so fast that he stirred up a breeze, causing his robe to float up like a walking bat spirit. Put away that useless wand. Snape's voice was low and magnetic, but it gave people a cold feeling. The little wizards obeyed obediently. Like Professor Flitwick, Snape took out the roster and started roll call. Every little wizard who was called would respond quickly and cautiously, for fear of being scolded for being too late. A precise sense of time is an essential foundation for brewing potions. I'm very happy that no one was late. Snape said slowly, obviously happy, but more than one person saw it in his eyes. Disappointment. You are here to learn the precise science and art of potion making, and since there is no foolish waving of wands, many of you will not believe it is magic. I don't expect you to truly understand the beauty of the slowly simmering cauldron emitting white smoke and wafting outbursts of fragrance. You won't truly understand the liquid flowing into people's blood vessels, the kind that makes people's hearts wander and their wills blur. Wonderful magic. I can teach you how to increase your reputation, brew glory, and even prevent death. This is a very contagious opening statement, and many people are already fascinated and looking forward to it. Wayne pouted secretly when Snape wasn't paying attention. The speech is indeed good. I would call his speech ability second in the wizarding world, second only to Grindelwald. Brew glory and stop death. I don't know. I thought Snape was going to teach them how to make the magic stone. If death can really be prevented, then why not save Lily? Well, I can't say this. If he did, he could guarantee that he would receive the green light from the tip of Snape's staff in the next second. Lawrence, Snape said suddenly. Wayne was stunned for a moment, but subconsciously stood up. If I were to make a herbicide, what else would I need besides lionfish spine powder and flobber caterpillar slime? Harklap juice, sir. How many ways are there to make the rejuvenation agent? 3 types: extraction, boiling, and grinding into powder. I need a bezoar. Where will you find it? The cow's stomach, but now there are a lot of cultivated artifacts. Procedures for porcupine quill treatment with scabies potion. Cut it into a length of 3 centimeters and make a slit diagonally every 1 centimeter. Tusk. Snape stopped asking. It seems that compared to Mr. Potter, you are indeed more worthy of your reputation. The other little wizards were stunned. They understood every word these two people said, but together. Because of the isolation room, okay? What are you looking at me doing? I have what I just said on my face. Take notes quickly. Snape suddenly burst out, and the students began to take notes in a hurry. You too, do you want me to ask you to sit down? You're welcome, Professor. Wayne curled his lips and sat down. Who knows why Snape went crazy and suddenly called his name? And it wasn't random. It must have come specifically for him. Those questions just now were basically beyond the scope. They were not what first-year students need to learn at all. They were definitely premeditated. What Wayne didn't know was that Snape had heard from Professor McGonagall about Wayne's talent, which was that he could summon a patroness with a wand. This magic had special meaning to him, so he naturally remembered Wayne's name. Today's test was just a spur of the moment. I wanted to make things difficult for Wayne and deduct some points for Hufflepuff. Thanks to his and Cedric's outstanding performance, Hufflepuff's score now exceeds that of Slytherin. To his regret, Wayne passed the test. Why can't he be like stupid Potee? Glancing at Wayne, who had a normal expression, Snape waved his hand, and the process for making a potion to treat scabies appeared on the blackboard. The materials are in the closet. Work in pairs. If I find out who is wasting materials, I will let him eat the extra materials. All the little wizards shuddered. There are only wrong names, not wrong nicknames. Snape truly transformed into a giant bat and wandered around the classroom. No one knew which classmate he would appear behind in the next second. Bones, is there something wrong with your eyes? Can't you see the big characters about viper fangs? What are you doing with boar teeth? Smile, Carter. Why are you laughing? What do you mean by grinding it into powder? Your powder is as big as a pea. Hannah, who was in the group with Wayne, shook her body and silently reprocessed the venomous snake fang powder. Ms. Brown, I suggest you send a letter home and bring back the brain you left at home before class. I wrote it very clearly. Add the flobber caterpillar slime. You put the whole worm in. Do you think you are cooking? Tusk, what's the difference between cooking and cooking? Wayne muttered after hearing this. Aren't they just processing ingredients now? Put the ingredients into the pot in order, turn high to low heat, and finally turn to high to reduce the juice. A pot of freshly baked green slime and you're done. Hannah, what are you doing? Don't let go. Wayne quickly stopped Hannah from adding ingredients to the pot. What are you doing? Porcupine quills. The eyes of the witch with crotch braids revealed innocence that had not been tainted by knowledge. Wayne's head was full of black lines. Porcupine quills are the last step. They have to be added when the potion is almost finished. It's still early. Besides, it wasn't cut into 3 centimeters as promised. Do you have 3 millimeters here? The dark brown porcupine quills on the brass tray could be called foam. Wayne somewhat understood why Snape had such a bad temper. Facing such students every day, it is difficult to have a good mood. Ha! Hannah's little mouth opened wide, and she hurriedly looked at the blackboard and found that it was indeed 3 centimeters written on it, and her whole body turned black and white. What should I do, Wayne? I only took this piece of material. Remembering what Snape said just now, waste materials must be eaten by yourself, Hannah looked at Wayne with tears in her eyes. Help me, Wayne. I don't want to be poisoned. Wayne sighed. Keep brewing the medicine. Keep an eye on the professor for me and let me know when he is far away. He no longer dared to let Hannah get started again, so he took all the materials to his side for processing. Snape continued to spray his venom, but there was nothing wrong with what he said. It wasn't until he reached the other side of the classroom that Hannah quickly told Wayne. Wayne looked up and noticed that Snape's back was facing him and immediately took out his wand. Porcupine quills are flying. Several porcupine quills suddenly flew out of the closet, passed over the little wizard's head, and landed in front of Wayne. Everyone was busy brewing the medicine and didn't notice what was happening. If Snape realized something, he turned around suddenly, but found nothing unusual. Then he turned around and continued to lecture Toby and Norman. Your ability poses no threat to me in the academic field, but it can make me infamous in the educational field. 2 points deducted from Hufflepuff. That's so cool. Hannah didn't panic anymore. Her eyes were filled with stars. This is a flying curse. You need to be in 5th grade to learn it. You can learn it even if you practice a lot. I don't have this time. Hannah shook her head and swung her braid. I also have to go to the kitchen to learn how to cook from the elves. They know too many things. Hannah has said that his dream is to take over his family's leaky cauldron and revamp the menu, which hasn't been changed in hundreds of years. So whenever you have free time, go to the kitchen and learn the specialties of each elf. It can only be said that Hufflepuff does not raise idle people. The little wizard has everything to do except study hard. Until the end of Get Out of Class, except for Wayne Hannah's group, which Snape was satisfied with, only the works of Ravenclaw's Lisa Dupin and Padma Patil gave him a fair evaluation. Padma Patil is an Indian-born high-caste Brahmin girl. She also has a younger sister, Parvati, who is at Gryffindor College. It is rare for twin sisters like this to be assigned to different colleges. It is finally over. After walking out of the potions classroom, Wayne stretched comfortably. After a week of classes, there will be 2 days of vacation. Oh yes, and there are papers that add up to dozens of inches in length, covering all kinds of subjects. Thinking of this, Wayne frowned and walked towards the auditorium. Although these things are easy to write, they are not a waste of time. If he had the time, he might as well go for a walk next to the Black Lake and get familiar with the terrain of Hogwarts, which would be more meaningful than writing these simple assignments. Wayne, I was just going to find you. As they entered the auditorium, Cedric suddenly appeared and patted Wayne on the shoulder. What's up? It's not me, it's the twins who are looking for you. Cedric tightened the book in his arms, and Wayne glanced at it. It was a textbook for care of magical creatures. As the two walked towards the long table, Wayne asked, what else did they come up with? I don't know about that. They said they would come to the lounge to find you after dinner, but they didn't say anything else. Wayne nodded. Okay, I understand. At 7 o'clock, a classmate approached Wayne, who was playing wizard chess with Cedric, and told him that the twins were outside. I'll go with you. What if they try to play another prank? Cedric took the opportunity to push on the chessboard and said very loyally. If it weren't for the fact that he only had 2 soldiers and a queen on the chessboard, Wayne would have almost believed it. When I arrived outside the common room, I saw 2 rather happy faces. Fred or George jokingly joked, Hey, Wayne, why did you bring a bodyguard? He came here on his own, not called by me. Wayne shrugged. What do you want from me? Since they were tricked twice by him last time, Gemini has been very busy this week. He just finished copying famous alumni and couldn't wait to deliver them to his door again. Wayne was also a little curious as to what they were planning. We are here to invite you, George said, but since Cedric is here too, let's come together. How about walking around the campus together tomorrow? You say that as if I bought the quill and got the parchment as a gift. It's too cheap. Cedric looked at them with contempt. Besides, what's there to see in school? Fred raised his eyebrows slightly. Aren't you curious about the corridor on the 4th floor? The corridor on the 4th floor is a place where Dumbledore has forbidden young wizards to go when school starts. But human nature is like this. The more it is prohibited and ordered repeatedly, the more ready it is to act. Since the first day of school, students have been curious about it, and many have already taken action. The results were also tragic. The professors had already anticipated this, so there would be patrols there every day. The little wizards who were caught would be deducted 5 points at the slightest, or be placed in solitary confinement at the worst. There are dozens of people on the current death list. half of which are Gryffindors. This also resulted in the fact that 1 week into school, Gryffindor's score column was still empty. There is no such thing as a negative score, otherwise you have to owe dozens of points. Cedric looked at the twins in shock. Are you too crazy? Derek is still cleaning the bathroom every night. He still smells like this when he comes back to the dormitory. Of course not, we are very sober. George Bear spread his hands. Please don't doubt our professionalism in night tour. Or a night out. Cedric's voice was an octave higher. Fred said matter-of-factly, there are so many people during the day, so we must move at night. We have already investigated. Filch will be guarding the corridor tomorrow night. He is very easy to deal with. When Lee makes trouble elsewhere, he will definitely rush over like a leopard cat in heat. Why did you call me? Wayne asked curiously. It doesn't seem like I need to contribute to this matter, right? Of course, just in case. The twins said at the same time, if something goes wrong, we need someone to back us up. At that time, as long as we run faster than you, we will be absolutely safe. Wayne, aren't you afraid? If you are, you can refuse. The two of them said one sentence to each other, and they cooperated very well. This is a conspiracy devised by the twins. They didn't have any bad intentions, but if Wayne was caught, it would be because he was not capable enough and could not blame others. Wayne naturally understood, so he agreed without hesitation. The twins achieved their goal and walked away arm in arm with smiles, while Cedric looked at Wayne. You really want to go? Of course, this is not already agreed. It would be terrible if you get caught. You might be the next one to clean the bathroom. Wayne said nonchalantly, Isn't it okay as long as you don't get caught? Are you going? I go. Then you're talking so much nonsense. Go back and play another game. On his first weekend at Hogwarts, Wayne slept in and didn't get up until around 9 o'clock. There is no breakfast in the auditorium at this time. If it were other colleges, they could only eat some snacks to satisfy their hunger and wait until noon to have a full meal. But who is Wayne? Hufflepuff. Is it possible to stay hungry while guarding the kitchen? As the elves bowed respectfully, he walked out of the kitchen with 2 tuna sandwiches, walked all the way out of the castle, and came to the Black Lake, where he sat casually on the lawn and ate breakfast. Students on the lawn were in 2s and 3s, walking and chatting. Not far away, cheers came from the Quidditch pitch, and it was unknown which academy was training. While eating, Wayne also looked at his system panel. There are no changes in other attributes. There are more than 500 points in the points column, of which more than 400 points were earned this week. He has really been lazy this week, and part of these points were obtained by cheating the twins and making things difficult for Quirrell. The other part is that he casts a spell on his roommate every night when he goes to bed, from 5 points at a time at the beginning to 2 points at a time now. It is estimated that there will be fewer and fewer. The speed is too slow. But I'm going on a night trip tonight, and I don't know how many points I can earn. After dinner, Wayne went to the library again and borrowed a copy of Insight on Black Magic, How to Protect Yourself Safely. Hermione was also seen there, the little witch hidden by a thick book. Wayne watched her fascinated by reading and left without disturbing her. In the afternoon, he walked around the entire castle again and tried all the stairs in the main castle area, and gradually he had a 3-dimensional map in his mind. Many people forget the rules of the stairs for various reasons before graduation. Wayne is keenly aware that there seems to be a lot of business opportunities here. Combining some previous inspirations, he already had an idea. What is lacking now is technical ability. You still need to earn more points for lottery draws, and it is best to draw some knowledge related to alchemy. Wayne, don't you do your homework? Seeing Wayne, who had nothing to do and strolled back like an old man, the 2 roommates raised black question marks. Why are you so anxious? Isn't there another day tomorrow? And I don't have to do transfiguration homework. Professor McGonagall exempted me from it. It's good to have talent. Toby was extremely envious. The transfiguration work was a full 6 inches. The 2 of them wrote until the evening and only finished half of their homework. Looking at the 2 roommates who had almost fallen asleep, Wayne took out his wand. He was afraid that if he went out, the 2 guys wouldn't be able to find anyone when they woke up, and they would expose him by yelling when he went out. It is better to add layers of insurance. Dizzy. No, I read it wrong. Sleep peacefully. When the light of the hypnotic spell fell, the 2 of them did not change at all, But as long as there was no external influence, there was no problem in sleeping until dawn. When he reached the common room, Cedric was already waiting for him. "Let's go." The model student was a little excited. It was true that he had gone out at night before, but this was the first time for so many people to be together. Not to mention going to a restricted area that the principal had sternly warned. It's so exciting. Wayne's behavior was much more normal, no different from normal travel. Calm down. What if Filch is attracted? Where shall we meet? Fred and George are probably in the trophy room on the second floor. Let's go. The two walked out of the beryl door and came to the first floor. The moment he stepped onto the first floor, Wayne's system also sent a notification tone. Host's night outing violates school rules, points plus 20 and points plus 5 for every hour it lasts. Wayne's lips curved into a slight smile. Isn't this already there? From now on, if you go out for a walk every night and get 20 points, what is the difference between this and giving it away for free? He has been a good student for a week. What a loss. Seeing Wayne suddenly smile, Cedric was a little confused, but he still reminded him in a low voice. Step softly. Filch's cat ears are very pointed. You are still a wizard. Can you use magic to solve the problem? Wayne sneered, and then cast a lightning spell on both himself and Cedric. Cedric felt that he had become as light as a swallow, and the sound of his footsteps could not be detected. He asked excitedly, "Where did you learn this curse?" 300 Tang poems. No, 30 practical spells. They are sold at Flourishes and Blatt's bookstore. I'll buy one during my vacation. The two of them walked quickly and soon arrived at the trophy display room. Sure enough, the twins had been waiting for a long time. The two cats were in the corner with a map in their hands. Seeing Wayne and Cedric coming over, George quietly put the map into his pocket. It's quite early, but the plan has changed, and we have to postpone it for a while. Cedric frowned and asked with some vigilance, "What tricks are you two doing? It's really not our fault this time." Fred sighed helplessly and explained, "It's Lee. He was curious about what the pet food for owls tasted like. He tasted it twice and has been lying in the school doctor's office since morning. Madame Pomfrey gave him some medicine, but he's still a little dizzy now. We'll let him lie down for another half hour." Wayne and Cedric were sweating. Is this Gryffindor? Why is he so brave? The most outrageous thing is that people who are almost dying are still thinking about night tour. It is impossible for them to learn this kind of spirit. Are you sure he can recover? Wayne confirmed. He didn't want to spend the whole night here. Don't worry, Lee is basically fine. He's just a little confused about his direction. Fred waved his hand indifferently and asked curiously, "Wayne, did you really bully Professor Quirrell to tears? There are no secrets in Hogwarts." After spreading throughout the afternoon and day, almost all the teachers and students in the school now know about the little conflict between Quirrell and Wayne. Even Professor Sprout called Wayne away during lunch and gave him a few words of advice. "I know you're a good boy, Lawrence. Professor Quirrell is just too nervous, and he needs some time." Wayne was also helpless. "What do you mean I bullied him into crying? I just wanted the professor to cover up the spell. Who would have thought that he would collapse? Be kind to our defense against the dark arts professor." Fred patted Wayne on the shoulder. "You can only see him for this year. Maybe he was just on guard against vampires." Honest Cedric was still defending Quirrell. He met a vampire in Romania during the summer vacation and seemed to be frightened. No matter what the reason is, Quirrell won't show up again after this semester. George shrugged. The reality is, no one can stay in this position for 2 years. Wayne became interested. "Can you tell me about the previous defense against the dark arts professor?" He knew that this position was cursed by Voldemort, and he also knew the fate of several subsequent professors, but he really didn't know why the previous professors left. Lee Kyrodden hadn't come yet and was bored, so the two started talking to each other about the tragic experiences of the first two defense against the dark arts professors. When we first entered school, the defense against the dark arts professor was Olivier Knight. He was an old man who looked very nice. But after Easter, the ministry's hit men suddenly came to Hogwarts and took out the wanted poster. Professor Olivier has a bad habit, which is alcoholism. He drank too much that time and actually seriously injured the then Minister of Magic. It is also because of this that Millicent Barner was unable to be re-elected due to health reasons, which is why the current minister was appointed. Cedric nodded in agreement. My father said the same thing. He also said that Barnold scolds Professor Olivier every day at home. Wayne was stunned when he heard this. What kind of outrageous butterfly effect was this? A professor actually beat the Minister of Magic into early retirement. If Voldemort knew this, he would laugh to death. What about last year's professor? Wayne asked again. At this moment, the expressions on the twins' and Cedric's faces became extremely strange, as if this was something very difficult to say. Last year's Montella Clift was a friend of Headmaster Dumbledore, Cedric said slowly. What did he do again? No, he didn't hit the Minister of Magic, nor was he a dark wizard. George shook his head and tried to hold back his laughter, but in the end he couldn't hold it in anymore. Clift suffered from severe mental illness. It was not until before the final exam that he accidentally left his St. Mungo's diagnosis certificate in the classroom and was not seen by Charlie. Cedric continued. The school was in trouble at that time. A mentally ill person. Had been a teacher for a whole year, and no one noticed. The doctors at St. Mungo's are also crazy. They searched all over the UK and even went to France next door to find someone, but they didn't expect that they would be in Hogwarts. Speaking of this, he couldn't help but laugh. Wayne could already imagine how chaotic the scene would be. Then why did Dumbledore agree to him teaching? Wayne asked in confusion. Who knows? Maybe no one is willing to apply for this position. Even if he is mentally ill, it is better than cancelling the course. George said indifferently. Anyway, these two professors are much better than Quirrell. At least they taught us some real things. Even though Clift is a psychopath, he has not forgotten his ability to use spells. I don't know what Quirrell is thinking. Muggle studies is taught well, so why does he have to come here to die? Everyone agreed that the defense against the dark arts professor was a disposable professor. They did not believe that Quirrell, who had been a teacher for several years, did not know this. This can only be attributed to lack of belief in evil. Boom! A huge noise came from upstairs and several people were shocked. Fred jumped up immediately. It must be Lee, he is distracting Filch. Sure enough, they soon heard Filch's roar. It's a big shit again. I'm going to arrest you and put you in solitary confinement. You'll be put in solitary confinement for a year. The sound spread farther and farther, and it was obvious that Filch was already walking upstairs. Let's hurry up. I don't know how long Lee can last. Be careful with Filch's cat. Pushing open the door to the trophy room, the twins ran out first, followed closely by Wayne and Cedric. In the silent corridor, 4 people crept up the stairs. Every time he passed a corner, Fred would poke his head out to see if Mrs. Norris was there, and then let the other 3 follow. Every time Wayne passes a place, the system will sound a prompt sound in a timely manner and earn points. However, these rewards are one time only and are only available for the first time in the night travel state. By the time we reached the 4th floor, several people could already smell the smell of big dung eggs. Wayne covered his nose in disgust. Can't you choose a method that won't hurt both sides? This is the simplest and most effective. Fred said as he walked. Filch has a mysophobia. If he can't catch anyone, he will definitely clean up the big excrement before coming back so that he can have more time. Cedric marveled. You are really experienced. It seems that he still has a lot to learn on the night tour. Don't think that Hufflepuff only produces honest kids. In fact, all the naughty kids in this grade are pretty much the same. It's just that the environment will affect a person, and so will his background. This makes Hufflepuff students seem much more well-behaved than other colleges. The group of people quickly arrived at their destination, the end of the corridor on the 4th floor. Originally, there was supposed to be a corridor here, but since this semester, it has become a door. Cedric said, and the twins nodded. They were all very familiar with the main areas of the castle. Do you really want to go in? What if there is danger, like Dumbledore said? The honest man swallowed. Regarding his timidity, Fred said contemptuously, What are you afraid of? This is a school. Is it possible that the principal can catch a giant monster and come over? As he spoke, he turned the door handle, but the door was still locked. The Alajo hole opens. He said forget it, but his body was very honest. Cedric moved faster than anyone else and was the first to take out his wand and cast the unlocking spell. What do you think it will be inside? I don't know, but there must be something valuable, a powerful spell, a treasure map. Anyway, anything is possible. Damn it. Fred gasped instantly and didn't finish his words because he had already seen clearly what was inside. At the same time, he also knew why Dumbledore gave such a severe warning. After the door is opened, it is not a room inside, but still a corridor. A dog was sitting there, staring at them with 6 eyes. If purely in terms of quantity, 8 versus 6, Wayne and his team still have the advantage. But this dog was so big that it filled all the space from the ceiling to the floor. It had 3 heads, all of which showed ferocious expressions. There was sticky saliva flowing from the corners of its mouth, and a fishy stench came to the face. Merlin's wool socks. Are they 3-headed dogs? Cedric groaned. If there is a fence or other protective device between him and the 3-headed dog, he will definitely be very happy now. You must know that it is difficult to see a 3-headed dog in the British Isles. They are usually active in Greek areas. But now, Cedric could even feel the smelly breath hitting his face with warmth. Just post it directly. How could you be happy? George turned around decisively, trying to open the door that had just been closed, but the 3-headed dog moved faster and roared and raised its head. George was so frightened that he broke the door handle. Armor protection. An invisible wall was erected between the 4 people and the 3-headed dog. The head of the flying dog was severely injured, and it retreated several meters with a wailing sound. But this little bit of damage didn't have much effect on the thick-skinned 3-headed dog, and it just returned to normal after shaking its head. "Why are you still standing there?" Wayne shouted. "Hurry up and fix the door lock and run." Oh. The other 3 people just woke up from a dream and then hurriedly put their hands up to cast the repair spell. But because I was too nervous, I failed several times. Wayne didn't bother to care about them. After learning magic for so long, he came here just to find a suitable target to practice his skills on. Collapse. Repulse quickly. Flying shears like rain. Colorful rays of light shot out from Wayne's wand and hit the 3-headed dog. The space was too small, and there was no room for the big man to dodge. Boom. A stun spell hit the dog's head on the left, knocking him unconscious directly. Both of them were stunned. They didn't even mention that Cedric had repaired the doorknob. They just watched in a daze as Wayne beat the dog's head. They know most of the magic here, but the effect of using it on people is okay. The 3-headed dog that uses it to deal with both physical and demon defenses is probably about the same as tickling. Wayne is too perverted. Cedric, who was sharp-eyed, saw that in the space left by the 3-headed dog's retreat, there was a trapdoor on the ground. What's inside? Although he was curious, now was not the time to explore and decrypt, so Cedric quickly opened the door. "Wayne, run. Filch will be here soon." Is this the end? This time it was Wayne's turn to feel a little unfinished. However, seeing that the 3 of them had already gone out to wait for him, he finally used a cutting spell, leaving deep scratches on the floor to warn the 3-headed dog, and ran out himself. After closing the door, the roar of the beast disappeared, and several people finally breathed a sigh of relief. Then he looked at Wayne like he was a monster. Being stared at a bit by them, Wayne couldn't help but cross his arms. "What are you looking at me doing?" George looked at the young man. "Are you an old monster who turned into a child and came to Hogwarts to relive his childhood?" Wayne's head was full of black lines. "Your imagination is as unique as Rita Skee's." That reporter from the Daily Prophet, Mother said she was a clown, and she actually called Dumbledore an old lunatic. "I just work a little harder than you, and I have hundreds of millions more talents." Wayne gestured and drew a universe at his fingertips. "Okay, let's go to the corridor. Let's go back to our respective dormitories." "Why are you so anxious?" Fred shook his head. "I was frightened just now, and I need to eat some sweets to recover. I'll go get Lee, and we'll have some supper together before going back." The last 3 found Lee Kyrodden from an armor on the 5th floor. Filch went crazy. He chased me from the 4th floor to the 8th floor. I jumped into a secret passage and went back to the 6th floor. He caught up again. In the kitchen, Lee Kyrodden said with excitement while eating a sandwich, "It seems that escaping from Filch's hands is no less than surviving the sword fence battle. With unique racial talents, it is like listening to rap." The elf thoughtfully prepared a large round table for several people, which was filled with food and drinks. After finishing a sandwich, he said worriedly, "But I always feel that Filch might know it's me. What if he comes to trouble me in the future?" Fred comforted, "It's not a possibility, it's a certainty." You are the only NRS in the school, and you are the most dishonest. Filch definitely knows that. Damn it. Li Yiling, trembling with anger, said, "Are you too deliberately trying to trick me?" "Don't worry." Cedric consoled him after drinking a glass of lemon juice. "As long as he's not caught on the spot or has evidence, he has no right to impose punishment." Fred curled his lips disdainfully. "It's just that Bai has been following us for so many years, and he doesn't even know these rules. It's just because I followed you that I was imprisoned so many times." Lee replied angrily, and then asked about the topic he was most concerned about. "What is in that corridor? Did you see it?" Speaking of this, several people became energetic. "I'm telling you, you can't believe it." Lee's mouth was so open that he could even stuff a pear into it. "Three-headed dog, trap door." Then he looked at Wayne, who had been showing off his food. "You said it was Wayne who defeated the three-headed dog." "Not defeated," Wayne corrected. "Just stopped for a while." "That's why we're stopping you," Cedric interrupted. "Looking at your posture just now, you won't stop until you beat the three-headed dog to death. How on earth have you mastered the power of magic to such a great extent?" George said with envy, "Compared to you, I was a loser in first grade. We are the same now." Fred complained without mercy, even to himself. "With just those few moves, he could beat the four of us into muggles." The corner of Cedric's mouth twitched. "You can laugh at yourself. What's the point of dragging me along? Is it shameful to be the first in my grade? Do you have any tips?" Cedric couldn't help but ask. "I really can't teach you this." Wayne shook his head. "Magic is an innate talent that can only be explored, but it is difficult to improve. If you want to become stronger, in addition to mastering more magic spells, you must have a deeper understanding of magic." It's not that he's fooling a few people, it's just the fact. Dumbledore and Grindelwald's strength was created by a combination of nurture and nature. While they were in school, they showed their extraordinary talents, and only with hard work can they achieve such terrifying achievements. In this, talent is the foundation. Only by having the foundation and working hard can you see the results. The most obvious example is Hermione. When Harry was in school, he was always busy playing and would be reckless when things happened. Hermione had already mastered many magic spells at that time. But later, Lupin gave some advice, and after the third year, the power of Harry's magic had surpassed Hermione's, and it was getting further and further away. This is the talent gap. Although Cedric's talent is good, it is only good among normal people. According to the system's grading, the overall evaluation is B-level. It's just that he is relatively average and works hard, so he can securely sit at the top of his grade. The twins were even worse, and their thoughts were more on how to have more fun. "I just hate geniuses like you." Fred curled his lips. Several people didn't mention it again and concentrated on eating their supper. Half an hour later, Wayne and the others walked out of the kitchen and went back to their homes. However, after watching Cedric enter the dormitory, Wayne walked out of the common room again. "The corridor on the fourth floor has been checked in, and 50 points have been obtained. I've earned more than 100 points by shopping around tonight." Wayne didn't go out just to score more points. "Instead, I want to go to the restricted book section of the library and look for the books I need." He bought a book called Elementary Alchemy at Flourish and Blatt's, which is also the alchemy textbook of Beauxbaton's School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. Because of Nicholas Flamel, Beauxbaton's is far ahead in alchemy, and young wizards can take alchemy as an elective in the third grade. At Hogwarts, only those who pass the Owl's exam are eligible. No matter how advanced the book is, it cannot be mass-produced. Alchemy is a subject with a high threshold and is not suitable for widespread promotion. Wayne can only try his luck in the forbidden book area to see if there is anything he needs. Just as he came back to the second floor, Dumbledore and Snape had already arrived in the fourth floor corridor. Looking at the seemingly unchanged oak door, Snape put his wand on the handle and felt it. Then he spoke sadly. "It seems your warning has had no effect at all, Dumbledore." "That's understandable, Severus." Dumbledore was not offended when someone violated his warning. The tone was as casual as if you were talking to a friend about your naughty grandson. "Weren't you the same way back then?" "Oh, by the way, you were tricked once." "Shut up," Snape interrupted him irritably. "When you get old, you shouldn't always look back on the past. Wasn't that a pleasant experience? They should be expelled. And the little wizard who broke in here should be fired. It's not that serious yet." Dumbledore blinked, took out the key, and opened the oak door. Let's see first how far they have gone. Snape snorted coldly and did not enter first. That stupid dog only recognized Hagrid and Dumbledore. Anyone else who appeared in front of him would be attacked. After Dumbledore entered, he followed behind. The three-headed dog was about to get angry, but when he saw the familiar white beard, he immediately lay down, with all three tongues sticking out and whimpering. This is... Snape's eyes narrowed. The wand gave off a bright light, allowing both of them to see clearly the injuries on the three-headed dog. Dumbledore said meaningfully, "It seems that our little wizard is really capable. I discovered that you have a unique ability to turn a very bad thing into a happy one." Snape, relying on Dumbledore's intimidation, inspected the three-headed dog's wounds before speaking sarcastically. A little wizard who beats a three-headed dog into this state might be the next Dark Lord. Are you still in the mood to praise him? If you hadn't told me it was a student who broke in, I would have thought it was Quirrell. A look of surprise flashed in Snape's eyes. He had just been discussing Quirrell's issue with Dumbledore in the office when a portrait burst in, saying that another young wizard had just broken into the forbidden area and that Filch had been lured away. The two of them came together. "I don't think so." Dumbledore was still smiling. "Tom, don't mention that name." Snape trembled all over, as if he had encountered something extremely terrible. "Okay." Dumbledore was a little helpless. "Severus, if you want to completely defeat the Dark Lord, you must learn to face him, at least. Treat him as an ordinary person." "Ordinary people," Snape sneered. "In the whole world, you are the only one who has the confidence to say that the Dark Lord is an ordinary person. Oh, maybe there is another one, the senior in Nurmengard. Let's get back to the topic." Dumbledore's eyes reflected light, and his expression became much more serious. The emergence of the Dark Lord was accompanied by many accidents and a series of wrong choices that led him to the path he is on now. Speaking of Voldemort, Dumbledore couldn't help but sigh. If I could have guided him properly at the beginning, maybe what happened next would not have happened. Snape sneered at Dumbledore's views. "Some people are born bad. If you had the ability, you should kill him when he was in school." "I haven't killed anyone in 82 years. A sadness flashed in Dumbledore's eyes. "Don't think about the past anymore. Who is that little wizard? Don't say you don't know. The whole castle is your spy." Snape knew very well that even though this old man was usually indifferent, there was no secret in Hogwarts that he didn't know. The same goes for Quirrell. That idiot thought he was hiding it well. But as soon as he appeared, not to mention Dumbledore, even he could smell the dirty and disgusting stench. There must have been contact with that guy. "Actually, I really don't know." Dumbledore pondered for 2 seconds. "I just have a rough guess, but it is irresponsible to draw conclusions at will. HMPH, just protect them." Without saying a word, Snape was too lazy to spend any more time with him. He left 2 bottles of healing potion and strode away, dragging his robe. In the corridor, only Dumbledore was still using the healing spell to recover the three-headed dog's injuries. Wayne Lawrence, what a terrifying talent. Snape was right when he said that the entire castle was under Dumbledore's eye. He was referring to the ubiquitous portraits. Each portrait was ordered at the time of creation to serve the current principle. The actions of the 4 Waynes will naturally not be spared. Although he didn't know the specific situation after entering the room, Dumbledore knew exactly what level the other 3 were. Only Wayne, the young wizard who just entered school, is the correct answer. Perhaps he should look away a little and pay more attention to other outstanding students. The next day, at 9 o'clock in the morning, Wayne yawned and went to the bathroom to wash up, put on a fresh robe, and finally woke up. "I was too tired from toiling in the forbidden book section yesterday." It wasn't until the rooster crowed on campus that Wayne realized it was time to leave. This is the real treasure. Any book that can be placed in the restricted book area must have its own special features or dangers. For example, the book Alchemy Soul, Equivalent Exchange, that Wayne has been reading. Many of the refining methods of items recorded in it are very dangerous and even risk death. It was a little early for him to read this, and he didn't have a lot of knowledge. Without a lot of experiments, it is definitely an unwise choice to rashly refine high-level alchemical items. Wayne was not without gains, and it can be said that the trip was worthwhile. Finding an owl from the school, Wayne scrolled down the names and quantities of a large amount of materials, put dozens of galleons in his pocket, and let the owl fly to Diagon Alley. After doing all this, he went to the kitchen to have breakfast, then left the castle and walked towards the edge of the forbidden forest. It's already a bit cold in the Scottish Highlands in September. Today is a cloudy day with heavy humidity. The heavy fog hides the castle. Only the spire can be seen from a distance. Along the Black Lake, Wayne walked through the grass and came to a small cabin on the edge of the forbidden forest. It can't be considered small, at least the door is already 3 or 4 meters high. The style is very rough, giving people the impression that it was built temporarily by a child. Before Wayne could get closer, a black dog next to the cabin barked. Soon, dull complaints came from the house. Yeah, is there another little wizard going to the forbidden forest? Stop him quickly. Then there was a burst of chaos. Wayne activated his animal affinity talent, and his screams instantly turned into flattering whimpering. This is a little trick he discovered. The talent will only take effect when he shows that he wants to get close to these animals. Little wizard, stay away from here. The forbidden forest is not a place you can go. Hagrid finally came out. With messy hair and knotted beard, he looked slovenly. With a height of nearly 3 meters and a body width of 2 meters, he was a veritable little giant. Hello, my name is Wayne Lawrence. I'm not going to the forbidden forest. I'm here to find you. Wayne showed a harmless smile again and kept rubbing the dog's head with his hand. You're looking for me. Don't play these tricks, I won't believe it. Hagrid was still very vigilant. These little wizards would use any tricks in order to enter the forbidden forest. He waved to Yaya. Yaya, come here quickly. To his surprise, his dog seemed not to have heard and still sat there obediently, letting Wayne play with him. Yes, I have something to ask you for help with. Wayne's smile remained unchanged. I forgot to mention, I am a freshman at Hufflepuff. I'm Hufflepuff. How could I lie to you? Hufflepuff, this thing's role in the British magical world is similar to the chastity arch in ancient society. When it comes to Hufflepuff, you can say they are stupid, slow to react, and have average academic performance. But if you say they are cheating, 9 out of 10 people will spit on you. This is the golden sign. Obviously, the Hufflepuff signature is more useful for someone like Hagrid. Come in. Hagrid opened the door, Wayne let go of Yaya, and walked in under Goozy's reluctant eyes. The bonfire in the fireplace burned very vigorously and crackled twice, making the whole room warm. There was a small stool in the room, but there was no table, so Wayne didn't mind it and sat on it directly. Hagrid was sitting on his bed. Lawrence, what do you need to see me about? Just call me Wayne. Wayne made up a random excuse. I heard Harry talk about you. He said you are a very good and enthusiastic person. So, when I encounter a problem, you are the first one I think of. Wayne was not afraid of Hagrid and Harry's confession later. He did mention Hagrid, but he didn't say so much. With Harry's mind, even if Hagrid hadn't been mentioned, Wayne could have fooled him into thinking he had forgotten. Hearing this, the hybrid giant showed an embarrassed smile. Whether it was Wayne's compliments or Harry's willingness to mention himself in front of his friends, it made him very happy. His businesslike attitude just now suddenly became enthusiastic. The hybrid giant got up and came to the fireplace, bringing a 30-inch iron plate and a cloth bag. The mouth of the bag was opened, and a lot of candies rolled out. Eat some sugar and some of my salt crust strudel. I just made it this morning. Wayne picked up the candy with a smile, but he didn't thank the pie. Is that really for human consumption? It looks harder than bricks. Do you need my help? Let me tell you first, I won't help you if you violate school rules. Hagrid asked, rubbing her hands. Of course not. In fact, I just need some materials to make some gadgets. Wayne waved his hand and took the opportunity to spit out the candy. The code is too sweet. That's it. Hagrid breathed a sigh of relief and slapped his chest loudly. What do you need? As long as I can get it, I will definitely get it for you. That's great. Wayne was overjoyed and expressed his needs. The bird's feathers, the feathers of the silencer, the scales of the cocktail, the feathers of the unicorn, the bones of the Tebo warthog, and the eggs of the ash snake. Is that all? After hearing this, Hagrid asked again, are there any requirements on quantity? Well, just a small amount is fine. It's just practice after all. Wayne glanced at Hagrid and said casually, it would be great if we could get the venom of the acromantula. The venom of the acromantula. Hagrid frowned. The rest are very simple, but I don't have the venom of the acromantula now. When I go to Hogsmeade another day, I will help you find it. You eat first, and I'll go to the cellar to help you get the ingredients." Wayne was also a little surprised when he saw the giant's back as he walked out, not as honest as expected. Just now, Hagrid said that he went to Hogsmeade to help him find the venom of the acromantula. It was just a pretense. The purpose was just to not let him know that there were such dangerous creatures in the Forbidden Forest. This little cleverness also slightly changed Wayne's view of him. Sure enough, everyone cannot underestimate it and must correct their mentality. About 10 minutes later, Hagrid came back again and walked in carrying a large sack. "See if these are enough. If they are not enough, I will go to the Forbidden Forest to pick up some more." Wayne took the sack, held it in his hand, opened the bag and took a look, and fell silent immediately. It was stuffed to the brim with all kinds of feathers, bones, and eggs of ash snakes, stuffed together like garbage. The snow-white feathers were balled up, and Wayne could tell at a glance that they were unicorn feathers. Wizards with some common sense know how precious this thing is. The best unicorn feathers, which can be used to make wands, can be sold for 5 galleons each. The lower ones can also be used to make beauty potions. A bag of 10 galleons contains only a dozen feathers. There must be dozens of Hagrid's balls. There are a lot of white dumplings in the bag. Together with other things, this large sack is worth several hundred galleons at least. The way he looked at Hagrid changed. This is the true rich man. Isn't that enough? Seeing Wayne didn't speak, Hagrid scratched his head in distress. "Then you have to wait a little longer. I'll go to the Forbidden Forest to help you find it." "Enough, enough. These are enough for me to practice," Wayne quickly advised. "The harvest this time has greatly exceeded his expectations, and it will not be a problem after Christmas." "Thank you so much, Hagrid." The giant smiled. "It's okay. Just come to me if you need anything in the future. I won't need these things." There was nothing wrong with what he said, because just now Wayne saw that this guy had a blanket made entirely of unicorn feathers. What a waste of natural resources. Determined to maintain a good relationship with raw material suppliers, Wayne also took out the gifts he had prepared long ago. "The elves said that you are also taking care of the school's vegetable garden. These potions are used to drive away garden goblins and insecticides. Just accept them." "Very good." Hagrid's eyes lit up. "Those goblins and vixens are annoying me to death. You are really a big help, Wayne. We are friends, aren't we?" All of a sudden, the hybrid giant was so moved that he burst into tears. Under Hagrid's kindness, Wayne left the cabin carrying the sack and rock pie. Walking all the way back to the Hufflepuff common room, Cedric happened to be watering the plants in the common room and came over to see Wayne with his big bag. "Did you go for a robbery?" Wayne's face didn't change. "No, I just chatted with my friends and got some souvenirs as a gift." "What souvenir?" "Here you go, pie." Wayne handed over the box containing the pie and walked back to the dormitory. When I opened the box, I saw that it was indeed a stuffed pie and it was still steaming. Being a Hufflepuff, Cedric took a bite without hesitation. "Ouch, my teeth."